Oh, you'll be delighted and somewhat surprised to know that you can now own Whose Views merchandise. Yes, a range of mugs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, cuddly toys, a cheer please, and other goodies, all putting official Doctor Who merchandise to shame. It's now available from the Whose Views shop. You can find it on the store tab on the channel or by scanning that squiggly thing there. Yes, that box thing. Scan that. Not sure how. This doesn't actually tell me how you do it. But no doubt you Whose viewers will know. You're clever. Anyway, there it is. Whose Views merchandise. Good grief. And now on Whose Views, it's time for the latest headlines with JT and the Whotastic panel.
It's Sunday. It's the 22nd of September. It's 2024. Hello, everybody. This is Whose Views, and these are your Sunday headlines. And have you heard? I have got a big show for you tonight. Yes, I have. It's so big. I don't want to waste any time in actually messing around and getting straight into it. I do want to go straight to the chat, though, because I did notice that right at the top of the show there. Huge thank you to Lex for leaving us a super chat. He says, hi, I can't make it for tonight's show. I'm off to the Lake District for a few days from tomorrow morning. Plus, it's my mum and dad's wedding anniversary on Tuesday. So that's good news, isn't it? And he's taking them out for lunch. Lex, thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you for that. Lake District, you're going to have a fabulous time. Hopefully, you'll be able to get this on playback because this is the big show. I tell you who else is going to have a fabulous time as we get into this show. It's Paul and it's Third Doctor Ian. Hello to you two.
Hello there. Hello.
Whoa, we have a big show, gentlemen, ready. We've got everything going for us tonight, as I say. So thank you, everybody in the chat for joining us. As usual, I would just like to say, guys, a huge thank you to people that have been getting in touch with us over the last few days. And yeah, especially all the people that loved our annual show. We had the annual ball this week, didn't we? So thank you so much to everybody that was there and enjoying that, and all the messages and the comments that have come through from there, including from Steve Thompson and his brother. Thank you for your message at the top of the show as well. Really appreciate that. Steve Thompson and his brother have just found us recently on the channel, and they said that they love watching. They can't watch all the time live, but they do always get back to us at other times and watch. So that's fantastic, isn't it, guys?
It's lovely. Yeah.
So
good to have them on board.
Yeah. So thank you to Steve Thompson, his brother. Also, thank you to John De Arroz, to Andy and Michelle Dunn, Doris Day, to John Sheridan, to Mary, to Marky P, to Craig Sims, to Doug Sims, I Love to Be, Triple Yaz Music is All, 1983, Theodore Benton, Michael Hallett, Gary Bryant, Meddling Funk, Mosh4643, Nibbles69, Kimberly Hills 5181, and to Graham Dawson. Thank you all so much for getting in touch. Really appreciate it. As usual, if you want to get in touch with us on the show, you can at this address, whoseviews1@gmail.com, or you can even leave us a comment on any of the shows. That all makes sense there, I hope, guys, does it?
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. Yeah.
Recommend the annual show if you've not seen it. It's really good.
Oh, that was great.
Loved that.
Oh.
Yeah, I think we all loved that one. That was where we actually celebrated the annuals of yesteryear. And we proved,
if you ever want to just cheer up.
Yes.
If you ever want to just cheer up and realise what rubbish you get in Doctor Who magazine sometimes, just watch that annual show.
So the Arbuta Doctor Who magazine, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Listen, we are going to start with some really, really sad news on today's show, everyone, because over the weekend we've learned of, unfortunately, a few people leaving us to go onto that great TARDIS in the sky. And of course, we're going to start with Cleo Silvestre and David Graham. Now, Cleo Silvestre. Now, this was a woman who was groundbreaking. They throw these terms around today, but Cleo was, because Cleo Mary Palmer, MBE, known professionally as we say that as Cleo Silvestre, was the first Black woman ever to play a leading role at the National Theatre in London. London girl that did really, really good here. She's also done a lot of television stuff. She worked with Ken Loach in Up the Junction. She did Doctor Who in 1965. She was in The Crusade, which not many of us would have seen that, but she was there. Kathy Come Home. She was also in Till Death Do Us Part. Z-Cars, Callan, Corrie, Crossroads. She was famous for Crossroads because she's one of the original Crossroads members. She was in Grange Hill. And also, very recently, she was in All Creatures Great and Small.
Oh,
yes. And I have to say that her first appearance in All Creatures Great and Small was on their first series Christmas special. And I'm watching this going, I know this woman. I know this woman. Where do I know this woman from? Of course, it was from everything. So that was that. So yes, so that was sad news. And the news that over the weekend as well, that, well, another great in sci-fi and fantasy circles, David Graham has passed. David Graham, you will know him. He was Parker, the voice of Parker in Thunderbirds, very famous role. He also did a lot of other things like Brains and Gordon Tracy. He did do the Daleks for a while in Doctor Who as well in the early days. And it was a shock for you, Paul, wasn't it, to learn that he also played Grandpa Pig in Peppa Pig?
I was well impressed by that credit, I have to say. That's superb. But everything else, but that's superb. They're really good, really good. But I loved him as Kerensky and, Charlie the Barman and all that kind of stuff in Doctor Who as well. Superb, great actor. I think he's in Time Slip as well and things like that. So he's a great sci-fi icon. Superb.
Yeah. So just another couple
of Kerensky for me. I love the character of Kerensky.
Theodore Nikolai, yeah, lovely.
Theodore Nikolai, yeah, wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
The rapport he had with Tom Baker in those scenes where he's doing his experiment and Tom Baker comes out and stands behind him and then he realizes he's there and they have that little exchange. It's so quick fire and so clever.
It's an acting masterclass. It really is. They're both
it really
sparking
is.
off each other really well. Yeah.
You can tell really they got on that. So but there they are. You'll know him now if you didn't know who he was before. If you didn't know him from Thunderbirds or anything else, you will recognize him now from that picture there when you know he's been in City of Death. So there you go. So God bless to them and all best wishes from all of us all here at Who's Views, including everybody in the chat, to their family and friends, of course. We've also had some sad news closer to home as well, everybody, because you may have noticed over the last few weeks that Stephen Braddock's friend Nick King has been joining us here on the channel. I'm very sad to say that, unfortunately, Nick passed away over the weekend. Here he is here. This is one of our own, everybody. Yes, he'd been ill for a little while, and I got this rather sweet email from Stephen explaining that Nick had passed, but how much he'd enjoyed being with all of us on the show, with all of you in the chat, contributing when he could because he had been poorly. And thank you for that, Stephen. And if you would please, Stephen, if you could please give Nick's family and friends our love and tell them we're thinking of them at this terrible time. But there we go. That's for you. And if I may as well, I'd like to dedicate this edition of Headlines in all its glory and all its controversy to Nick. God love him.
Can I say
God bless him. God bless him.
He's wearing a Falklands veteran cap. So I think we should just say thank you for his service as well.
Can I say one thing as well? I'd like to say God bless him, and I hope he's upstairs having a pint with William Hartnell.
Hell yes.
Yeah, because that's what I'll be doing when I'm up there. Yeah, so
that's an image. There's an image. Thank you for all your comments. Welcome to Who's Views. This is Headlines. We're going to crack on now as well as we dedicate this show to our friend Nick. And he would be the first to say happy birthday today to the one and only Mr. Fraser Hines. Here he is. Fraser is in Australia at the moment, as we know full well, because this picture was taken this weekend at a convention down there where Fraser has joined Katie Manning and our very own Michael has been there. He took this picture. So thank you for this, Michael. But happy birthday, Fraser. And I hope you're having a lovely time down there, down under, as they say. Happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday, yeah.
Happy birthday. Great to see you all in the chat here. And thank you all very much for your comments about Nick as well. Absolutely. We've got some lovely chat, as ever, as I expect from all our viewers, guys. Glenn is with us saying prayers and blessings for Nick. Julianne is saying sad news. God bless Nick. And we've also got RIP Nick there from Dalek Eye. It's nice to see you all. Mike is with us as well. Thank you. And Kirsty, thank you for your little emojis there, Kirsty. So thank you to Kirsty, who's in the chat with us as well. Divining Dragon, thank you for your comment. Marjorie's with us, saying God rest and bless his soul. John, fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody. Matthew's with us too. Garbage is in the chat with us as well. Hello, Garbage. And Crimpoline Doubloon, it's good to see you, my friend. R.I.P. Nick King. My condolences to his friends and family. Lots of that coming through. So, Stephen, when you see this, please do let his family know that we are thinking about them at this difficult time. You're quite right, Graham is saying to us, Fraser looks fab for 80. I still can't quite get over that. He's still quite sprightly as well, isn't he?
Yes. Oh, he definitely is. Yeah.
Which is quite worrying in itself. Hello, says Paul Baker. Well, hello to you, Paul. Nice to see you. Frank Spencer is with us as well. Also, the comment there about for Nick. And Pete Harrington's with us as well. Saying happy birthday to Fraser. Nice to see you all. Mark is with us. Mark Milford. Nice to see you. Thank you very much for joining us. And Matt the Silent Wee Music King is also with us as well. So we're going to get on. Just remind everybody, the whole point of this show is this is our political show here on Who's Views. This is where we look at everything that sort of affects the world of Doctor Who or mentions the world of Doctor Who. It's not just about our views here on the panel. It is about yours. It's so important to us. This is a story that came to my attention just today. So thank you to the Thinking for telling me about this one, because this had passed me by this morning. So it was this afternoon when this came through, and I thought I can't ignore this, because this refers to a story that we looked at a couple of months ago, which involved this lady. This was Kemi Badenoch, who was in the government at the time. Now, since then, we've had a general election, and Kemi's party were ousted and replaced by a new lot. Now, Kemi's job, if you remember, was actually, well, part of many jobs in government was to look after equalities and women's rights. And do you remember a certain Mr. David Tennant went off on a rant at an LGBTQI plus cult awards ceremony? We covered it in the show, didn't we, guys? Do you remember? Yeah. And he basically said that he wanted her to, quote unquote, shut up, to which she came back and said she wasn't going to. We covered all that, didn't we? Well, today, everybody, this particular lady has brought it up again. Now, this, unfortunately, is our Deputy Prime Minister. This is Angela Raynor. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I put a personal comment in there? Don't really care. Don't really care. But this is Angela Raynor. Now, what has she done today? You might be asking me. Well, I can actually tell you, because this is from today's edition of the dailymail.co.uk. Exterminate Labour's Angela Raynor jokes that Kemi Badenoch is doing deals with Daleks over the gender-critical Tories' trans rights row with ex-Doctor Who David Tennant. Reported by David Wilcox, who's the deputy political editor for the Mail Online. His story continues with Angela Raynor sparked a trans rights row with Tory leadership hopeful Kemi Badenoch today over Doctor Who and the Daleks. The Deputy Prime Minister was accused of being obsessed with the Shadow Housing Secretary and former Cabinet Minister, as she referenced her in her Labour Party conference speech. So just to let you know, if you are outside the UK, the Labour Party is currently in its conference speech, in Liverpool. That's where this has come from. So she took to the stage and brought this into her speech. As you do, as well as setting out Labour's plans for government, including a slew of new rights for workers. She also had a dig at Ms. Badenoch over her summer row with former Time Lord David Tennant. In June, the then Tory Women and Equalities Minister branded Mr. Tennant a bigot for using an LGBT award to win, to say he wished she did not exist and she should shut up. Referencing the row and Mr. Tennant's former role as the eccentric Time Lord, Ms. Raynor joked it was bad enough when they had to deal with Nigel Farage. Now she is doing side deals with the Daleks. But the attack led one friend of Ms. Badenoch to hit back, saying whoever buys Angela's clothes must also be writing her speeches. They're both terrible. It does show Labour remain obsessed with Kemi. And quite rightly, they need to be, because if she becomes the next leader of the Conservative Party, they're toast at the next election, because Kemi, in my opinion, everybody, speaks common sense and is actually quite grounded. She knows what seems to be right and wrong, okay? This carries on with the story. Mr. Tennant played Doctor Who, who's arch enemies of the Daleks, between 2005 and 2010. Picking up an award for Celebrity Trans Ally in June, he told a cheering audience, "I don't wish ill of her, I just wish her to shut up." It prompted the belligerent Tory to reply in a stinging tirade on X, vowing, "I will not shut up. I will not be silenced by men who prioritise applause from Stonewall over the safety of women and girls." A rich lefty white male celebrity so blinded by ideology he can't see the optics of attacking the only black woman in government by calling publicly for my existence to end. Tennant is one of Labour's celebrity supporters. This is an early example of what life will be like if they win. She wasn't wrong. Addressing the row this morning, a jubilant Ms. Raynor joked about the ongoing Tory leadership campaign, which Miss Badenoch is in. Next week, they will gather in the wreckage of their defeat, reduced to 10-minute auditions for wannabe leaders, beating each other to different shades of blue, on a show that no one is watching, she told the audience in Liverpool. How did she know nobody's watching Doctor Who? Oh, really weird. Strange. Perhaps
Maybe
that's
she's
why...
a fan.
Oh, I'd hate to think so. Perhaps that's why Kemi launched her leadership campaign with an attack on Doctor Who. It was bad enough when they wanted to deal with Farage. Now she's just doing side deals with the Daleks. But conference, at least after 3 months as Shadow Housing Secretary, she finally expressed concern about Tennant. It's just a pity it was David Tennant. She obviously thinks she's very clever, but I need to point out at this point that Angela Raynor can't tell the difference between a man and a woman. Do I need to say any more? She's one of these, she goes on all these alleged LGBT. They're not, they're TQ cult prides now. You know, they don't really like LGBT people in there now. They've evicted lesbians and gay men from many of them around our country. You know, if you don't bend the knee to them. But she's been on this. She's been seen wearing the flags and the T-shirts with Starmer, you know, and all this. And she's in favour of self-ID. She wants that brought in. All alleged. But, you know, it's there for you to look at. But there you go.
I think I have to say at this point, I have to identify as a Dalek, I have to say. But yeah.
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 It's my personal opinion, of course, and everything else. But she strikes me as being absolutely thick as mince. And if there are alleged the same person buying her clothes, as it seems to be reported, that have been buying Keir Starmer's clothes and glasses and his wife's undercrackers and everything else,
They're not buying them, though, are they? No.
Then she certainly doesn't seem to be wearing them, because what she goes around in looks horrendous. But she is an embarrassment of a deputy prime minister, and I've yet to hear her string a coherent sentence together. And when she's challenged by anybody who knows what they're talking about, she crumbles. It's embarrassing. But then they all are, to be honest. And to be fair, she mentions the wreckage of the Tory party, and they were wreckage because at the time they deserved to be. And I'm not pinning my colours to them, but they've got in on this seemingly large on paper majority, but actually a lot of their seats were won by a hair's breadth margin, so they could lose them quite easily. But
the actual general election turnout wasn't that great either, was it? To be fair, so
and if you remember, Starmer and a lot of his lefty lot were all saying with the Brexit vote, well, you know, it was only 1 point whatever million more, so it's not legitimate, let's do it again. Well, only 20% of the electorate voted for Labour, so let's do it again. But of course he won't want to, will he? But they've gone to hell in a handcart already, with almost guaranteeing, allegedly, that millions of pensioners are going to freeze this winter because they're taking their winter payments away, after saying they wouldn't, and after saying that the Tories were lying by saying that Labour would. They have. And by being mired in all this money taking that they're seemingly doing. I mean, what kind of man is Keir Starmer that he can quite happily have another man buy his wife's clothes? That just strikes me as being very, very odd. It's just bizarre. But personal opinions, that's all.
Well, that's what it's all about on this show. Is, you know, we're getting an awful lot of people chatting about this in the chat. Charlie Silvestri is also saying, "Is there nothing more important going on in the world?" Well, not when they're on conference, because all these people do now, Charlie, in my opinion, all these alleged politicians do now is try and bring the other lot down. And I found, in my opinion, that one of the reasons I will never vote Labour again is not just because of their insane policies, and their belief in this TQ dictates. But also because they just seem like very spoiled children. Glenn Piper's saying it to me here. Look, kids' playground, these politicians. That's what it seems to be. There's a whole generation that have come in now, and all they're doing is firing cheap shots at each other. They don't seem to be actually doing the job of running the country and doing what's best.
Yeah, I was watching various debate shows, or the like Question Time and the Scottish debate show that we got up here, and watching some of that. That's all they do. It's just cheap shots at each other. There's no real debate. That's all alternate. That's all one-upmanship all the time, which is pathetic. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of you here with your comments here. Thank you very much to people like Legion of James. These people make my blood boil. No wonder the country is falling apart. Worlds fail me. This is what happens when you get, what we call career politicians in charge now, because they're only looking after themselves. Let's face it. Stephen Braddock is joining us, everybody, as well. And he's saying to us, thank you, everyone, for your kind words for Nick. He went to heaven on Stephen's birthday. Oh, well, listen, as I say, Stephen, please make sure that his family and friends know that we're all thinking of them here. And thank you for joining us. Stephen's also saying that Raynor is quite mad. I just can't, I don't like her at all. There's always been something about her and Starmer that just makes me think, ooh, no, don't like it. Matthew, nice to see you, Matthew Burrows. Raynor loves the free stuff. It's corrupt as they come. Peter is reminding us that diversity in Daleks, there's so many colours.
Oh, you mean the ones from Victory of the Daleks? They were very good, weren't they, Peter? Yeah.
And Paul Rose is saying to us, they've all drunk the Kool-Aid, not only Tennant, but Matt Smith too now. It's sad. I used to like them all. Exactly, Paul. This is the problem now. They all think they're empowered now to give their personal opinion. And I really miss the days where they just entertained and kept their personal opinions to their private lives, and it wasn't pushed out there. Because we never got this when I was a kid. You could guess what side somebody was on politically, but you didn't know because they knew, they had common sense that it wasn't anybody's business. It was their private business. And they also knew that if they did express an opinion, they were going to automatically lose 50% of their fan base or audience because people would go, oh, no, I'm not having that. And that's what happens all the time now. I just thought it was a cheap shot from Angela Raynor as well. Leo James Ward, nice to see you. The government needs to remember that only 20% of the electorate, a disenfranchised public, is a dangerous public. Ooh, yep. Yep, okay. That's a big one there. I hadn't thought of it quite that way. What else we got here? Oh gosh, I daren't think. Thank you, Peter Venkman.
Well, she'd be quite pleased because Labour's nearer to Tory now than they were ever before, even with Tony Blair, aren't they? Let's be honest. But, yeah.
I think it was interesting with Thatcher was before she became leader of the Tory party in the early 70s. She orchestrated the end of free school milk, I think, for children.
Yeah.
And she was known until the day she died as the milk snatcher, which lasted over 40 years. So what about Starmer with the pensioners' heating allowance? What's he's going to be known as?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it?
Because pensioner snatcher will be the bus passage and then the council tax, one person.
They started doing two-tier Kia as a hashtag, two-tier Kia for the different alleged applications of the law, depending on what alleged background you came from, shall we say. But now there's another one. These are brilliant online. It's now free gear Kia as well. I love that one.
There's lots of this going on in our country at the moment, everybody, for those of you outside the UK. Thank you so much to Paul Thomas Ashworth for another super sticker. He knows they amuse me. Thank you so much. And this is a person like this in a baseball cap going, and it says incredible over the top of him.
Yeah, I can relate to that, yeah.
Yeah, I can as well. That's me most times when I'm putting this show together, Paul. What are they saying now? But I wanted to follow this particular story up, everybody, for you as well. So that it was today. It was reported today, and it just comes on the top of what we were talking about with this whole thing with Tennant and his attitude towards the person who was the then women's minister and whose job it was to look after women's rights, and how ironic it is that they can't understand how ridiculous they're being when it comes to those issues, because they're so busy trying to make themselves look good. Do you know what I mean? I've said it before. It's all about the selfishness. I've got to be seen to be the nice person. I've got to be seen to be inclusive to everybody and respectful to everybody. That's all they care. That's all they care about. They're not worried about anything else.
We definitely need more politicians like Dennis Skinner. That's for sure. I agree with that. Yeah.
We're never going to see that again, are we?
Not,
really
no, sadly, no.
JT, that is going on all over the world now in politics. No policy, all one-upmanship. There you go, Charlie. Thank you for that one. It's a sad state of a world we're in now, isn't it? It's very, very frightening, and that's why there's an awful lot of trouble around. And because people can't, exactly, Julianne, I miss proper politicians like I miss proper Doctor Who. Because people can't respect other people having a different opinion, and if they do have a different opinion, they throw all the usual slurs at them, which they shouldn't do. It's just a case of, hang on a minute. The whole thing about general elections in our country is that if they don't get it, if whoever you voted for didn't get in, you got on with it. We just got on with it, and we don't, because you knew there was going to be another one in 4 or 5 years' time, and you got on with it. And you have to respect democracy and the fact that democracy is whoever won the election, whether you like it or not. And in this particular case, I don't like it because they're not my Labour, I have to tell you. But the majority, what there was of it, ruled. So there they are. Got to get on with it. It's a shame that we've lost that art.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, everybody, for that one. Great comments coming from you all. It's nice to see you all. Mark Greaves, nice to see you as well. Thank you for joining us this evening. I remember this as well. Carlisle not being that far away from me, Mark. I remember this. And Raymond is with us as well. Thank you, Raymond. Kira's bought and paid for. Lord Ali isn't doing it from the kindness of his heart. He wants something in return. I would hate to think what. Christopher Eccleston for Prime Minister said, Matt the Silent Wee Music King. I think you're going a bit too far there.
You'd have to sack Russell T Davies first, though, I think.
But I bet him and his showbiz lovies, they all love this stuff because it's like Gareth Roberts said on Headlines when he came to join us on Headlines. They're all so far down this whole ideological path now, they can't go back because it would make themselves look ridiculous.
I think some of them are struggling though, JT. I think some of them, the die-hard ones, are struggling because especially with things like the pensioners' fuel payments and everything, they know that Labour that they support have built this huge narrative for the last 4 or 5 years that Tories bad, Labour good, Tories will do this to pensioners, we won't. And they've come straight in and it's been the first thing they've done. It's not even been out of desperation. And for the really die-hard lovies that are really left-leaning, that won't rest easy with them. So now they've got a crisis of conscience, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just wanted to bring that in at the top of the show because it's happened over the weekend. It was reported today. It backs up a story we talked about before. But watch this space because I think there's going to be more of that on the way. There's bound to be repercussions in the Doctor Who fandom when it comes to that because you know who was mentioned, Paul.
I was going to say what's interesting is rather than calling them a phobe or a bigot, they're now calling them Daleks instead. It's interesting. Yeah. Which is the same thing, really, isn't it?
It's the same. Well, we'll soon find out. We'll see.
Except the Daleks are more entertaining, for sure.
Yeah, well, yeah, usually. If anything comes up on that story, everybody, as we move forward, we will, of course, be reporting it for you here on Headlines, but watch this space. We're going to move on to our next story this evening now. And BBC iPlayer is a huge success, apparently. Yes, indeed. Reported this week from TV Zone, BBC iPlayer becomes the fastest growing VOD platform in the UK. BBC iPlayer has recorded remarkable year-on-year growth and is outstripping all its competitors across all audiences, powered by creativity and storytelling from across the UK.
Is that their old archive they're talking about?
Do you know what? It could well be. Let us know what you think of this, everybody in the chat, especially if you are using iPlayer. Let's crack on with the story. BBC iPlayer has recorded remarkable year-on-year growth and is outstripping all of its competitors across all audiences, powered by creativity and storytelling from across the UK. The Traitors, Doctor Who, Gladiators, Race Across the World, EastEnders, and the BBC election coverage have all contributed. The truly distinctive British service continues to break records, up over 20% this year so far. BBC iPlayer's viewing growth is twice that of Netflix, 3 times ITVX, and 4 times that of Channel 4. Now, at this point, I just want to remind you all as well, they have lost millions of BBC TV license fee payers. So how is this possible?
Can I just say something? What's interesting, the lumping together the general election coverage with creativity and storytelling. That's interesting.
Well, yeah, it is.
Sure.
Let's carry on with the story from TV Zone. It goes on like this. The unique range available to audiences on BBC iPlayer provides a breadth of content and experiences they can't find anywhere else. This is underlined by the record levels of people coming to iPlayer this summer, which has grown 10% on the same time last year. Our summer of live events generated over 350 million requests. The
For
success
what? To turn off.
Is it the BBC press statement, JT? Because that sentence there, our summer of live events, that sounds like the BBC talking, doesn't it?
Well, it must have come from somewhere for TV Zone to have it, but obviously I've got this from TV Zone. So I'll carry on. Let's see if it comes through. The successes can be seen across every month in 2024 so far. BBC iPlayer has brought people together for unmissable content from Gladiators and the Traitors to The Apprentice, Race Across the World, Doctor Who, EastEnders, and The Jetty, to the big live events including the general election, Glastonbury, and to the incredible summer of sport with the Euros, Wimbledon, and the Olympics. Backing British storytelling and talent has ensured BBC iPlayer stands out from the crowd. It offers an unrivaled depth and diversity across genre as audiences crave more authentic British stories like recent documentaries on Sarah Everard, Liz Carr's Better Off Dead, Freddie Flintoff's Field of Dreams, and The Met, and new comedy hits like Daddy Issues, Mammoth, and We Might Regret This. None of this I've heard about, so I'm sorry, I just haven't a clue. BBC's Chief Content Officer Charlotte Moore, pictured there, says, our digital transformation strategy is working. The BBC has grown market share, gaining against the global streamers as well as our UK competitors. BBC iPlayer has had another record-breaking year, and its incredible growth story is clear signal that we are offering audiences uniquely British content that they really value. This is a success story for UK creativity because as the biggest investor in UK producers, talent and skills, the value from our spend is retained in the UK and benefits the long-term sustainability of our world-class sector. In a competitive global market, BBC iPlayer stands out as the home of distinctive British content made here, authentically told, and universally available to all. So why then, Charlotte, is my suggestion of actually scrapping the BBC TV license fee and allowing people to pay for the iPlayer if they want to have it and access it, no matter where in the world they are, not just the UK, not being taken up?
If it's much bigger than Netflix, they'd make a lot more money then, wouldn't they?
Well, that's what she's saying in that statement. She's saying it's the biggest platform, the business on-demand platform in the UK. So why not scrap the license fee, which people are not paying? Why not run anything? Now, it's interesting as well, isn't it? We've just said there as well that Doctor Who is lumped into all that. I bet you it's not the new stuff. I bet you it's people going back and watching the archive stuff from the original Doctor Who up to 1963 to 1989. I bet you it's that.
There's lots of archive comedy stuff on there as well, and everything sort of pre-90s is on there. Lots of different things, Play for Today, stuff like that. So people are watching the classic stuff of all different, genres, but not the new stuff, I think. But I'd be interested to see, does Netflix and places like that print all their information about figures for viewing figures and that kind of thing? Do they, to compare it to the BBC?
I haven't seen any. Have you in the chat? Has anyone seen this?
Because I wonder what they're basing it on. Because because the BBC, I mean, ITV have their own streaming service as well, don't they? So
it's called ITVX. It was only just been launched in the last couple of years properly, hasn't it, under the new ITV branding? So they also have a lot of films and stuff as well. So their growth might come up. We'll see that. But I read this and I thought, yeah, okay, you've put Doctor Who in there to make it sound like it's the new Doctor Who. It's the latest stuff. So, again, it's popular. It's you. And I bet you it isn't. I bet you it's all the old stuff that people are going to access. I bet you. Matthew
They
Pound
should be forced to back it up with statistics. They should be forced to back it up with actual hard evidence. And I think it will show what you're saying, because we know that that's just a press release bigging themselves up. And they've written it, and that magazine's published it. I think it was clear, I think, from the wording there. It was definitely just a press release. But I think if they had to justify it, if they had to prove it, I think it'd fall on its face, because we know how they massage the viewing figures for Doctor Who, don't we? So if we know what they're doing there, it's fairly certain to say they'll be doing it across the board. And I don't think if they charged for it and didn't have the license fee, I think we would see that the reality isn't quite as glowing as their statement is.
Well, as Matthew Pounder is saying to us there, this is all corporate waffle. It does come across like that. It comes across as basically saying, look at us, aren't we brilliant? But what Charlotte has said, as I say, they might be going on to say, oh, you can't survive without the BBC. Politicians, please don't cancel us in the near future. No, please don't do that. But actually, the other turn is actually you're saying no. You're saying your on-demand facility is more popular when you've got a backlog of huge amounts of shows there, and people are going to access that. So you say. So get rid of the TV license fee anyway and bring in a subscription fee. What we've got here from Paul Rose, it doesn't really count though. If you watch live VOD content in the UK, you have to have a TV license, so it's a captive audience. They use it because they were forced to pay for it. That's a very good point. It's part of the service. Yes, you are right, Paul. Good point. John is saying, I cancelled iPlayer. License is next on the block. Right. Yeah, good. What we got here? It's probably this. There's Peter Venkman. I watch a ton of Classic Who on Pluto and other apps. Okay, thank you very much. Garbage is saying to us here. So Classic Doctor Who returns to iPlayer and the figures go up. Who would have guessed it? Oh, yes, we would have. Totally. That's how I looked at it, as you see, Garbage. Paul Baker cancelled my TV license recently. So many reasons why. Oh, I know. I've been there. Oh, yes, I've been there. It was so easy. I don't miss it at all. And we've got now Julianne saying to us, not watched any of those named in that paragraph. I know, neither have I. Don't know any of them at all, Julianne. Legion of James. Oh, the BBC. No, it really is not. Ratings may have gone up, but how low were they to start with? Maybe it's people in other countries with a VPN watching proper Doctor Who for free. Now, we've pointed out...
Allegedly.
We have pointed out on the show, we have had people, BBC Studios, BBC iPlayer team, we have had people in our chat who are not in the UK saying they watch stuff on the iPlayer because they can access it. So that goes down as a view for you as well. It doesn't necessarily respond to British people, British license fee payers watching it. No, it doesn't. You know, so that is a very valid point, Legion of James. They've got people from outside the UK accessing their platform. That's why I say make it into subscription, take down your blooming restrictions and say anybody in the world can have it for whatever fee you want to charge them. Matthew Burrows is saying to us, I do not watch the BBC and I do not blame you. And Stephen Braddock is saying, don't believe a word of any of this. It's all true. It's people watching classic shows in the archive when the BBC made good programs. Yeah. And Paul Rose is saying to us, I have no license here. I am not paying to be lectured or talked down to by weirdos. And we know that is exactly what's happening, don't we? We know it's been said by people that work for the BBC. They look down on the public. We're the great unwashed to them in the BBC. They're the ones that think we need educated and told what's right. Frank Spencer is saying to us, because the truth is no one would pay for iPlayer.
I think he's on iPlayer as well, actually.
Yeah, some others do.
He is, actually. Yeah. Very funny too.
Yeah.
Bigger than Netflix. I don't believe it. Otherwise, why don't they chop the license fee, says Stephen Braddock. I'm having problems with my Netflix now, by the way. It's come up on my Netflix, everybody, as an aside, that it's no longer going to be made available on my TV. So is that them telling me that my television is out of date and I need to go and buy one new one, which is not going to happen because I don't watch it. So it'd just be a case of Netflix, I'm cancelling my subscription to you. It's as simple as that. If you can't put it on the television of my choice, no money goes to you. End of. I'm not watching it on an iPad or a phone. I'm not of that generation. Make my eyes go even worse than what they're getting. So shocking to find that. It comes up on screen. It's no longer going to be available on this equipment. Well, you're not getting my money then. Shocking. What else we got here? Frank Spencer is saying to us, ITVX is very good. I'm sure it is. And Inspector #23, it's nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. Adding popular or non-UK BBC shows like One Piece to iPlayer is cheating when it comes to views. Yeah. Are we surprised, though, Inspector 23? Well, they're going to do anything now, aren't they, to justify their existence, I think.
Yeah.
The Church on Ruby Road got 20 million views. Massive success.
But it took 2 years to get there.
Got 20 years to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all nonsense, isn't it? Are people rewatching Abigail's Party, said Richard Hussey. It wouldn't surprise me.
Well, that is good telly. That is good telly. Yeah.
Yeah, although I have to say, I've got it on DVD and I tried to watch it a little while ago and couldn't get through it. I was like, I can't actually drive me mad. I
Well, it's
can't do
quite
it.
dated, but Alison Steadman's very funny then, though. She's brilliant in it. Yeah.
She's fantastic, isn't she?
Yeah.
Raymond Williams is saying to us, it's definitely the classic stuff that's getting people to watch in larger numbers, unlike Night Sleeper, which was another tip box in casting exercise. I'm not sure if I can say this word, actually. This is how paranoid I am now, because we're getting little...
I wouldn't. Don't say it.
No, the teas were, of course, white men.
Gammons, we can say that. Can we say
The
gammons
baddies.
still?
The baddies.
Yeah. Nibbles. I'd love a view count on everything on the iPlayer to see what's actually popular. Apparently, you can't get them. You can't get them. They won't let you have it, even under a freedom of information request. And Divining Dragon allowed DD. JT, I think you're spot on. If it was postmodern Doctor Who, they'd be more specific. They are trying to save face with spin doctoring verbiage. Ooh, that's good, isn't it? That's good.
Yeah, they would save the current stuff and not the old rubbish or something like that, probably.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
You'd have DWM going on an editorial saying, let's admit it, no matter how much we like it, original Doctor Who was a bit naff. Isn't Shooty fantastic? That's what you'd be getting, just like you did with the annuals.
Yeah, exactly. We've heard that sort of argument before. I'm sure it's on its way, to be quite honest with you. And John Mason, hello to you. I wouldn't watch the BBC even if it was free. And Michael's laughing. Ha 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 ha, says Michael Q. Yeah. Andy Gladhill is back with us. Hello, Andy. Hope you had a lovely holiday. 4 episodes of Doctor Who Season 1 didn't even get above 4 million views after the 28-day mark. So they ain't watching it on iPlayer much. No, it won't be that at all. It's the original Doctor Who, isn't it? It's proper Doctor Who they're going back to see. And possibly even some of the reboots, I would say, as they're reliving childhood, I would imagine, for some of them. I'd be very interested to see if they go back and look at it and then think, oh, this isn't that good. And then go back and watch some of the proper stuff and go, this is better. Because I know that's happening with some of the youngsters that grew up with Eccleston, Tennant and Smith. They're watching some of it back now and they're going, oh, this is a bit...
It's a bit flimsy, some of it, shall we say.
Yeah. And then they go back and watch the other 7 and they're like, oh, this is quite good. I know that for a fact because I've been told it. Paul is saying to us here, Paul Rose, I remember when I cancelled the license, they said someone may come out and check. They never did. Of course, I would have invited them in, made them a cup of tea and massaged their feet. Not. I have to tell you, Paul Rose, I am ready for the day when they eventually get round to me to knock on the door, and that's why I haven't got a license, because they are getting one hell of a lecture of why I will not support the BBC. They're going to be desperately trying to get away from my front door, I tell you, because I'm ready for them. Bring it on.
Live stream it.
We could do, actually.
Yes.
Go live.
Yeah.
Paul Baker wants to know, does ITV, etc., get money from the TV license fee? No, they don't. No. Anything that goes towards the television license fee goes straight to the BBC alone. It's exclusive to the BBC. The independents all get money from advertising. This is why it doesn't... Another reason it doesn't work, because you have to pay. You have to pay for watching live television. That's how the BBC's got us all. That includes Sky, who you pay a subscription to.
Yeah.
You know, it's so outdated, Paul Baker. It really is. It's got to go. And I think the iPlayer is the way forward for them with the subscription model. And if they're now going on, and Charlotte Moore is now going on about, oh, it's the best thing in the country right now, then do it now. Don't procrastinate. Do it now.
Because if they do go to that model and be like Netflix or whatever, they should take advertising as well, because that would help them survive.
Yeah.
And there's no excuse. Although the annoying thing about these kind of streaming services, if you don't get rid of the adverts, you get adverts every like 5 minutes, which is really annoying. You know?
But this platform, the Tube of Who, does it all the time.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
And very, very successfully.
Yeah.
They used to say years ago that the BBC couldn't take advertising because there was only there was a finite amount of advertising revenue, and if it was spread across another mainstream channel, then ITV would fold, as would the BBC, because it didn't have its license fee. But now we've got all these multiple channels, we've got all the satellite channels and everything else. They're all taking advertising and they're all doing fine, thank you very much. So it just shows you the argument was just because it's more convenient to keep the license fee. They want to keep taxing people whether they use it or not.
Yeah.
And there's thousands of businesses that provide, product to be advertised, millions of them, in fact, that you could get revenue from to produce programs. That's nonsense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yet this is the same organization that for years told us they were tracking our television signals and they knew what we were watching. Come on. As certain people in the BBC tell us, though, continually, the world's changed.
Yeah.
And they haven't. And they must. So stop being hypocritical and get it sorted. I'm Ray. Hello, nice to see you. Hi, all. This show is now listed on IMDb. Which one was that? Doctor Who? Surely Doctor Who's on IMDb already. What?
Whose views? Yeah.
Oh, whose views?
We're listed on IMDb. No, stop it.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, you always had it there. That's ridiculous. No, which one is it, Amaray? Which show? One of those comedies I've never heard of, probably. Don't watch them, don't know. Demis Roussos says Leo James Ward, and why not? Say it anytime you like, Leo.
Never again. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could sing it for you, but obviously I'm not allowed. And Stephen saying Ark in space up to 10 billion by then on its own. Totally. Absolutely.
And that's not the year, it's the viewing figures. Yeah,
exactly.
They had 10 billion on the first broadcast, didn't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's true. Kev is joining us. Hello, Kev. How are you, mate? Hope you are well. John Mason also saying, all the good BBC programmes, ones from years ago, you can get for pence from second-hand and charity shops. Picked up some great videos recently. Have you still got a VHS player, John? Can you play the videos? I wish I'd never got rid of mine. I wish I'd never got rid of it, because what a stupid thing to do, and then kept the cassettes. What a ridiculous thing to do. But there you go.
I've still got a VHS because I've got a huge collection of VHSs of the Mythmaker series, which I've got autograph from various people. So I've kept a VCR and the tapes. So yeah,
exactly. Paul Baker saying thank you for that. You're very welcome. That's your absolute pleasure there. And Divine and Dragon saying yes. Whose views is on IMDb?
Really?
Oh, really? How has that worked? That's bizarre. Okay, thank you. We'll look that up. Goodness me, that's brilliant in a sense, isn't it? But there you go. Thank you for that, guys. Thank you for letting us know about that one. Paul Rose is reminding us you don't need live TV unless you like Love Island, etc. GB News is on YouTube. It's fine for current affairs, etc. and sensible with its coverage. Exactly. This is the other thing about this whole thing now with the iPlayer. It's got to compete with the fact that a lot of the BBC's newer competitors, who they won't want to know, who they're trying to shut down on a weekly basis, are doing very well on this very platform that we're on, as well as others. So they are a little bit behind, but I've given them the alternative. I've given them an idea there. You can get in touch with me at whosviewsone@gmail.com. I might even come and work for you if you're going to give me the price I want to sort it out for you, you bloody idiots.
It's very remiss of them not to listen to you, GT. I have to say.
I think it is.
Yeah,
I think it is. Don't you guys? We're getting. Oh, look at this. Peter Beck was saying congratulations, guys. Thank you very much. And Divine Dragon reminds you whose views is listed as a podcast starting in 2024. How very dare you? We've been touching grass since 2023. I have to tell you. So there. 2023. We're well over our first anniversary now, aren't we?
Yeah,
Russ is joining us as well. Hello, Russ. Nice to see you. Listen, thank you all for your chat. It's great to see you all with all your opinions on this. Nibbles is also saying to us, I have missed my VHS player and old... What's the RT?
Cathode ray tube. It's an old world for an old telly, not a flat screen.
Right.
Oh, I'm not that old. Thanks, Nibbles. And John Mason is saying, yes, he's got his VHS player. Oh, I'm a little bit jealous about that, actually. I am, just a little bit. The actual, I miss sometimes, John, the fear of putting the video cassette in and not knowing if it's ever going to come back out.
If it's going to get chewed. Yeah.
It was always life on the edge, wasn't it?
Yeah, my talent of Wayne Chiang, please come back out. Please come back. Yeah, happy days in there. I don't know.
Did you ever have a video recorder that had, you used to have on the early ones, you had like an audio dub thing, and if you press the button, it would take some of the soundtrack off. Just be very, very careful.
Yeah, you had to, but yeah.
True,
audio dub, I think it was called. I think,
Audio dub. Oh, that rings a bell,
yeah.
Andy Gladhill is saying to us, I have a combined VHS and DVD player. Ooh. Obviously went to Argos in the old days.
I don't miss the tracking errors you used to get. Remember that? And the rolling of the picture and all that kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, well, that was part of the excitement, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Especially if you had a kind of bootleg of something, and it was like 10th generation, and the titles would roll up
When he
and down
says
like that.
Who View is a bootleg of something, he means a bootleg of anything Doctor Who. That's all he
Yes.
had.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's all he
yeah,
had.
yeah. Nothing other than that. Yeah.
First time I saw Spearhead from Space, which I watched countless times, was at least 5th generation. And when the meteorites were coming down at the start, the screen would go to the edge and the audio would like this.
Yes,
and even when I watch it now, when it gets to those points, I remember how the VHS used to go. But it was so infuriating. But at the same time, you were just glued because it was.
I had a bizarre. This is show what we went through. I had a bizarre copy of Part 5 of The Demons. And it was a color copy. It was a camera copy of it. So someone put it against the screen to copy it, and the quality was really awful. It may as well have been in black and white, but it was kind of in color. Yeah.
Exactly. For those of you who are
That's
young
why
enough,
I'm wearing glasses now, because my eyesight's really short.
for those of you who are too young to know what a VHS is, this is all stuff for you, isn't it? All stuff for you.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness me. I like this from
You've got
Mudcrab.
it easy. Yeah.
Mud, you did.
Yeah.
Mudcrab is saying IMDb claims Who's Views has an estimated budget of £3,000. It's per show, actually. £3,000 per show we put into this. Absolutely.
Yep.
Can you imagine? I wish it did. Hey, listen, Russ is telling us that his dad still has a laser disc and a reel-to-reel player. Oh my goodness, does he really? God, they'll be worth a bit of money.
My friend had a vertical record player and Betamax recorder. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I always wanted one of those. They were always in the cat. And my mum and dad would say, "Not on your Nelly," because they wouldn't trust anything that was vertical like that with a record in it. Oh no!
My friend and I used to go to the Woolworths record department and play with the stereos and press the cassette buttons, and they'd come out really slowly. That was superb when they did that. Remember that? Yeah.
No, I do remember going to places like Rumbelows and switching off all the televisions. On a Saturday and then running out. Oh, the things we did to get a laugh, I tell you. Sheila B in the devotions is saying, I've been watching Call My Bluff from the 70s on YouTube. Have you seen the one with Tom in? Tom Baker's in one. Have you seen that one yet, Sheila B? He's very good. He's very reserved. As they were back in those days, they're very sort of...
He looks like he just walked off the set from the Book Tower, but he looks lovely. Yeah,
he does. Yeah. And Paul Rose again saying to us, I sold a lot of VHS on eBay, some for as much as £80. Oh, wow, that's great, isn't it? Legion of James saying to us here, I'd be too terrified to play VHS now, in case you heard that heart-stopping tape grounding sound as the machine eats the tape. But I do still have a few cassettes. That's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing.
The tension was
palpable,
higher than the old tension you'd get with an old audio tape. You know, because that would often happen, wouldn't it? You're there with
and you couldn't fix it with a pencil, could you, or a pen?
No, you couldn't. You couldn't. But this was part of the magic, isn't it? Really, Nibbles is saying to us here, "I'm only 26." Well, you know, you got it easy, mate. I tell you. Nibbles and
after it chewed it, if you tried to play it, it had this like Venetian blind effect on it. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, well, happy days for all of us, though, isn't it? Michael wants a bizarre thing. Question, JT, is Die Hard 1 a Christmas movie? Well, I can actually clarify for you 100%, Michael. Yes, it is. Yeah. Thanks for the question. Anytime. You can pop any questions you want into here, obviously. But yes, Die Hard 1 is a Christmas movie. Moving on. No discussion, debate on that at all. The word is law. It is. Charlie Silvestri saying, I've got that on a t-shirt saying Touching Grasses 2024. Well, actually, talking of which, you can get one of our t-shirts that says Whose Views Touching Grasses 2023, available now on our new shop. More about that later if we get time. So thank you very much to everybody coming along and joining us with this debate about this. The iPlayer, according to the BBC's very own Charlotte Moore, is a huge success, and so therefore, in my eyes, should be a subscription service immediately. BBC Studios, get it sorted, scrap the TV license fee, and then let's see what happens. Because how many people of a certain age are actually going to then access your services? That's the other thing they should be worried about and never are. They should be worried about these people because at the moment, of course, here in the UK, my personal opinion is that the BBC is being prompted up by the license fee payments from a certain generation who don't know any different and are good, honest people. But now are retired and shouldn't be paying for the blooming thing. For the first time in a generation, they've got to pay. And I really don't like it. I really don't like that we're doing that. But thank you for that, everybody. Lots of comments coming for you there. And I'm just I'm absolutely delighted that a lot of you have still got your VHS players. I wish I'd kept mine. How stupid was I? All right, we're going to move on again now, everybody. And a huge congratulations to Julie Gardner. Now, you may mention a couple of shows ago, we mentioned that Doctor Who is up for several BAFTA Cymru. That's it, BAFTA Cymru awards. So that's BAFTA Wales, basically. Isn't it? Remember we covered that, guys? Well, congratulations to Julie Gardner, because it was announced this week on the BAFTA Cymru's Twitter pages that they were delighted to announce that former BBC Wales head of drama and now Bad Wolf co-founder Julie Gardner, MBE, is the recipient of this year's Outstanding Contribution to Television Award.
So what contribution?
Staying off it.
Well, I think it's all the material, obviously, that her career to date when she was at the BBC, you know, the drama that she would have, of course, signed off. But more recently, of course, with all the drama that Bad Wolf itself has produced, including now Doctor Who.
Well, she take it away from her for this year's mess.
Well, they're only just about to give it to her. The BAFTA Cymru ceremony is in the next couple of weeks, I'm sure it is. But there you are, Julie, looking rather lovely there. Very happy. So congratulations to Julie Gardner for getting that Outstanding Contribution to Television Award. We're going to stay with Bad Wolf, though, because, again, referring to a previous story, guys, that we've featured on the show, there was this one. Yes, the Screen Alliance in Wales and Bad Wolf are offering the Blind Writers Programme. Remember, we talked about this. This is the thing where you can submit to become mentored by a Bad Wolf writer, including RTD. We talked about this a few weeks ago. Do you all remember that in the chat?
So it's like a writer's apprenticeship type thing. Yeah,
that sort of thing.
The thing. Yeah.
Now, at this
point,
point,
you've already had to have a program on telly, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, let's go into this, because at this point, I want to give a shout out to our very own Bedouia, who this week sent this details for me, because Bedouia being Bedouia, he was looking into this a little bit more than you know,
like he does.
And he said, is it me after reading this? Let's read this together, everybody, and see what you think, because this is the criteria. Applications for this open on Monday, the 16th of September at 9 a.m. and close on Friday, the 4th of October at 5 p.m. So if you're interested in this, it is open now. It is entry, as you can see there, is free of charge. All the details are available on the website. Applicants must have permanent residency in Wales, meaning applicants must live in Wales and have lived in Wales for at least 12 months consecutively at the time of applying. Now, this is a Welsh scheme, so that I can forgive. That I'm absolutely down with that. That's absolutely fine. If you satisfy the above condition, then your place of birth does not need to be Wales in order to apply. Absolutely fine. Applicants must have no more than one professional broadcast screenwriting TV credit or feature film credit. Children's TV credits and short films do not apply to this criteria. If you have professional screenwriting credits in radio and theatre or are a published novelist, but still have less than one professional screenwriting credit in film or TV, then you are also permitted to apply. You do not need agent representation to apply. Few in that case, because a lot of them are rubbish. Anyway.
By less than one, do they mean none?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why not just say it?
Yeah.
Well, because I don't know, actually. I don't know.
Because surely the whole thing should be about giving people opportunities. So having not any experience published or broadcast should be what they're looking for, rather than people who've already started on the ladder of the profession. Surely.
You would think so, but does this show how the industry's going? You know, we're not out to find. I mean, I'm aware that these people are always thinking, we need to find new talent. We need to find new talent. Now, this is their answer of finding new talent, and yet the new talent has to have had one success already, or moderate success, or at least a commission. So that's not finding new talent at all, is it? Somebody else has found this talent.
Because if you look at classic Who, we never had Douglas Adams or Andrew Smith or something like that in the series if it wasn't for people just submitting scripts to Doctor Who's office. You know what I mean? It's crazy. You know?
I must admit, those days are gone now forever, and it's such a shame.
Yeah.
Because any Doctor Who fan back in the days, for those of you who don't know, could actually write a script or an outline for a script or a plot synopsis, as we would call it today, send it to the Doctor Who production office, or even an episode 1 breakdown, as some of them did. And the script editor, even though they were incredibly busy producing a series, would take the time to take it home or sit in the office and read it and give feedback. Terence Dix, Robert Holmes, Eric Saywood, Andrew Cartmel all did this, to my knowledge. I'm sure the others did as well, but they're the ones that come to mind. They did this, and they actually wrote in their own handwriting, not through a computer or anything like this, not through email. They wrote letters back then and saying, Douglas Adams, as you said, this is what I would suggest. Go away and write it again. And that's how Andrew Smith got on the screen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, because Chris Bidmead did the same thing. I mean, it's anyway. I'm going off on a tangent. There's more of this to come. Look at this. Applicants must be 18 or over. That's fine as well. Bad Wolf encourages applications from candidates from all backgrounds and does not discriminate based on disability, age, gender, socio-economic group, national origin, pregnancy and maternity status, race, religion or belief, sex and sexual orientation. At least one of the writers selected for the scheme will be deaf, disabled and or neurodivergent. Please see the application form on how to disclose this information. Bad Wolf agrees to cover any access requirement related costs. Now, I'm always thinking, does that really need to be in there? What does it matter? Why is it highlighted? And why are they actually stating that at least one of the writers selected for the scheme? That's what this DEI box ticking is about. I think it's been given by successive governments in the last 10, 15 years, hasn't it? That you've got to do that. But surely, if they were looking for new talent, it wouldn't matter if it came through on the writing. Surely they would say, "Oh, this is good."
Yeah. The key's in the word talent that you're using, because people have to be talented to be a writer. So if you've got a spark of talent, that can be guided and structure and format and all that kind of stuff. But you have to have initial talent to start off with, regardless of race, disability, gender, whatever. You have to be able to write, surely.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it strikes me a little bit of virtue signaling and them sort of like saying that just so people can say, oh, aren't you amazing? Aren't you fantastic? I mean, they're spending enough time telling each other that. So it's nice for them to get other people to say it as well. But with those kind of criteria enforced, when they're not actually looking for good writing, where they're actually prioritizing other criteria when it should be the quality of the writing, that just allows lesser talented people to succeed over and above the ones that are actually talented. You know, that's how, I mean, personal opinion, but that's how people like Rosie Jones get on TV so often. They're just not funny, but they're there all the time.
She's the alleged comedian, isn't she?
Yeah. And it's not the cerebral palsy thing, because I see some videos by a comedian in America, a young girl who's got cerebral palsy. I mean, young girl, she's in her 20s. Find her quite funny, to be honest. I really do. Rosie Jones,
She's not funny.
I find her as funny as chlamydia, quite frankly. I just don't find her funny at all.
A lot of them are also activists, aren't they? Alleged activists.
Yeah.
And this is the way they can get through. Look at that woman that we won't mention, that you know, the one that did the I know her name. I'll say it, you know, it's all alleged and stuff like this. But Kempner, how did she manage to become a comedian?
Oh God.
You know, it's I don't know. I've seen a lot of businesses over the last few years, especially, who have followed these guidelines and put somebody in a job because they tick the box, and then that person sadly cannot do the job. Then they're lumbered with having that person and paying that, so they have to go out and find another set of salary to actually pay somebody who can do the job, who may not tick the box, and then they have to do something with the person that's in the business already. It's unfair all around, isn't it? But I just thought it was very interesting that it has to be highlighted on this, which is supposed to be, I would have thought, open to everybody. You know, it's got the dates there as well of when you've got to be available to go and see the teams at Bad Wolf Studios in Cardiff. And then it says this: your submission must be your own original idea and may not be based wholly or in part on the work of any other person, whether known, published, produced or not. Now, this is usual standards.
That's never stopped Bad Wolf before, surely.
Well, I was going to come to that, Paul, actually. It does say. So anyway, we've got that. Bad Wolf reserves the right to reject any entry for any reason, and it's absolute discretion. Bad Wolf's decision is final, and no correspondence will be entered into. As well, we know on this channel because we're still waiting, believe it or not, from an email I sent to them on the 15th of February 2024. Anyway, moving back to the point, Bad Wolf will have the right of first refusal to option each pilot script developed as part of the scheme for 12 months from completion of the scheme for no additional cost. I'm going to say that again. Bad Wolf will have the right of first refusal to option each pilot script developed as part of the scheme for 12 months from completion of the scheme for no additional cost. If successful, the idea you work on during the course will be a new idea for a contemporary drama set in Wales, i.e. different to the script that you submit with your entry. Submissions will be read and assessed by Bad Wolf readers and will be judged on the strength of the writing and originality of the story. Scripts and pitch documents must be submitted in a PDF format. So basically what they're saying here is that these young people will be coming up with some ideas for scripts, and shows and what have you, and working their heart out to get onto this traineeship, whatever you want to call it. Then Bad Wolf have the right of first refusal to option each of the scripts developed for at least 12 months, and they don't have to pay the person for doing it. Okay. And then the person who gets through all this, the kids get through all this, get to work on a completely different drama.
And they'll just milk their idea for all it's worth. Yeah.
Now this is
like a writing sweatshop, doesn't it? A little bit like the writing equivalent of a factory that makes iPhones or something, where they have the nets below the upper floors to stop people jumping. It's the writing equivalent of slave labor, I think.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because this is why a good evening to Domgo, who's joining us. Hello, mate. Nice to see you. Still love that avatar. This is why Bedweir said, is it me? And then I read it, and no, it's not you. And you guys have said this as well. And in the chat, you guys are saying something similar as well. Legion of James saying, so are they going to cream the best stories off the pile for ideas and screw over the actual writers? That's it. Mike Disney saying they are literally asking for PDF files. Paul Richards wants to know, how about choosing the most talented writers? And Matthew Pounder sounds like exploitation. It's very strange wording, isn't it? Peter Venkman, fansite, you can sue us for using your stuff after rejection. You can't sue us for using your stuff after rejection.
Yeah. It's like a prenuptial agreement, isn't it? Kind of thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Amare is pointing out, though, quite rightly, and thank you for doing this, there are good incentives for filming in Wales. Lots of my fellow film directors, producers are doing medieval stuff in South Wales. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. What do you think of this particular thing from them, though, Amare? What's going on with Bad Wolf? Because I don't know, it just seems a little bit cheeky for me. As Sheila B is saying to us, what a cheek. It does seem legit, though, says Peter Venkman. I'm not saying that it isn't. To be quite honest, I'm sure it actually is within the rules of the laws and of the land and what have you, and the way they do things. But isn't it a bit of a cheek? It's absolutely legitimate. I'm sure it is. I'm sure they've crossed their T's and dotted their I's, and the nth degree is all down there. But I still do think it's a bit of a cheek.
It's a bit of a cheek. If you invent something, you take it to the patents office and get your thing patented, your invention. But likewise with a script, surely when you write it, it's your copyright, you own it, so therefore it's your copyright. They're trying to avoid that, aren't they? That's the thing,
That's what it smacks of, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure it's very legitimate. I'm sure it absolutely. But can you imagine if these kids come up with the next great big thing, and suddenly it's taken away from them, and 3 or 4 years down the line it's developed, and they're not involved with it?
Yeah.
I mean, how are they going to look at the industry then? Not exactly the same as Full Circle, is it? Says Timkins. No, it's not.
No,
not at all.
No.
Because if you look at what happened with Andrew, of course, he sent in his script. It was developed. It was eventually brought in. He had meetings. It was developed. It was produced. He was on hand. And that started his career.
Yeah. I mean, if they get to work on a different series, let's say, for the sake of argument, it was Casualty based in Wales, and they worked on that and they got to write a couple of episodes of that series, it would give them more TV experience. So that'd be something they get paid for that. But they would lose their IP, wouldn't they, to be honest?
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. I'm a little bit I don't know. I understand why Beardweir said, "Is this just me?" And then I reread it and thought, no, it's not you, mate, as well. So I'm glad that you guys are all saying the same thing. Beardweir, if you're watching, I hope you realize it's not just you, mate. Divine and Dragons, sorry, I wouldn't trust Bad Wolf as far as I can throw them. One of my students came to me looking for support to break into writing and directing, and I wouldn't recommend Bad Wolf to him. Who in the industry do we recommend them to? Because I think they all work the same way. Who gives them a proper break now without some sort of, well, you've got to have this in it now, and you've got to have that. I totally believe that the role models are no longer there. And these people that are all over the age of 55 who should be the role models are so far down their own ideological route, they can't be a role model, not a real proper one either, because they'll just say, jump, and expect everybody to jump.
It's laughable, though, that you have to have an original idea. That's brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's a bit of a concern that the original idea could be taken away from you.
Yeah.
Stephen Braddock, so all these people will work on these ideas, and if they get through, they don't even get their work debuted, but have to work on another show. It's utterly brutal. They're being cruel. And the Lady Knightsbridge is with us. Hello, Lady Brightridge. Sorry, Ian?
It does stink a bit, doesn't it, really?
Lady Knightsbridge is saying to us, Ernie, I wrote to the BBC and told them what I can do, Eric, and they wrote back telling you what you can do.
Yeah.
It's a good point, isn't it, Lady Knightsbridge? Nice to see you. Hope you are well. Let's have a look. Amaray. This sweatshop is supposed to be illegal. There were many broadcast and media jobs which said 3 or even 6 months unpaid before being hired. Yeah, there used to be.
Yeah.
It's
like an intern type thing, isn't it? Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. That's the American word for it. We actually did call them apprenticeships, or more likely work experience. I did a hell of a lot of work experience in my time at Border Television, no longer there, in Carlisle, and loads of bit there. You know, a lot of hours there for that as part of my work experience. Didn't get paid a thing. I got given money to the train and to get to work, but that was it. You know, happy days. Whereas now I'd be thinking, oh, where's the incentive of just getting in there, being taught on the job, and being thrown into the situations and say, right, how do we get out of this, and how do we deal with this? You know what I mean, guys?
Yeah.
It's very, very
They need
strange.
a name change. They need a name change from Bad Wolf to Bad Smell, I think. Terrible.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments coming through from everybody here in the chat. It's nice to see you all. Dangling the base of its name, am I right? Yeah. I mean, I'm just worried it's gonna. I mean, the industry's so damaged already. They don't need any more. I mean, I was speaking to an actor friend of mine just the other night, guys, who's going into a stage play in the West End, and he said, I'm really not sure about this because there's no bums on seats. So I don't know how long I'm going to be in the show. He's contracted for 3 months.
Yeah.
3 months, Paul.
Yeah.
I've never heard of a 3-month contract.
Yeah, they're trying to cover themselves. But I think theatre's not really recovered since COVID, particularly. People are still not going as much as they used to, and the ticket prices are so expensive. So.
Oh, yeah. £85 upwards.
Yeah.
Shocking stuff, isn't it? But I just thought, what a weird contract. And he said it was basically because they're all worried that the show might come off at any time because people aren't going to the theatre. And I just thought that's the entertainment industry. Perhaps if they entertained us a little bit more, got off their high horses a bit and put the politics outside the stage door, maybe we'd all get along a bit better like we used to do, you know? High problem being...
Sorry, as a non-actory person, what's odd about 3 months? I don't know, genuinely. So what would it normally be? What would be expected?
I've never heard.
It depends on the production, doesn't it? If it's a new production, maybe that's where they're being cautious. If it's a longer running show or a musical or something like that, they've got more idea of how long it might run. You know,
you might get a year contract if you're looking at a big blockbuster.
Yeah,
right. Okay,
that can get renewed around about month 10, 11 if you're lucky. If your face is fit that time. I've never heard of a 3-month one before, and I just thought that's a strange introduction to somebody who's going into a show. 3 months.
Yeah.
And I understand what you were saying to me about the fact that, you know, maybe they are thinking at some point in the second phase with this next cast, because I think it's been going since February or March or something. I must actually listen more. When people are talking, my friends are talking to me, everybody, I really must listen more. Especially with actors, they're probably watching it. With actors, well, marvelous, love you, marvelous.
Yeah, don't listen to actors. What we do? Yeah. So.
I'm sure you are, lovely. Steve Thompson, it's nice to see you. Licensed to hijack someone else's inspirational ideas, says Steve. It does come across a little bit weird, doesn't it, everybody? What do you think? What do you think, everybody? It's nice to see you all, but thank you very much. John Mason is saying that, yeah, we're all cynical about on here. I wonder why that is, though, John, eh?
Yeah. Yes, we're cynical and bar stewards as well. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And Hugh Janus is here with us. Hello, mate. Asking for ideas and stealing the good ones. That's showbiz, I guess.
Yeah.
It could be that, though, couldn't it? It could be. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Kev is saying to us here, Kev Gresham, it's harder to prove ownership in screenwriting, e.g., how many Hollywood romance stories are based on Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet? That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And how many screenwriters do they need now on these things? Oh, about 10, 15, 20 writers, isn't it?
Well, the idea of this writer room thing, I've never really liked. You know, if was it My Family that was done like that, and that's awful. You know, and it's kind of having to. You need to have maybe one or two writers max, but not like 6, 7, 8 people writing one script. It's like done by committee. It doesn't work. You know.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't like that at all. I preferred it when it was a writer who submitted a thing, and if the script editor liked it, it went to show. You know, went to production. Amare is saying the answer is there are a number of indie producers who have all the equipment necessary, little to no funds, but we can collaborate and film broadcast quality as there is a shift of broadcasting format standards. Yeah, the problem with the independents, though, is they get treated like, don't they?
Yeah.
Like doggy do. And yet it was all brought in the 80s and the early 90s, all this independent stuff. Because remember the BBC not being happy about it at all. And then they've made the most of it by allegedly partnering, all allegedly partnering with these people and then dictating to them what needs to be in the show. Oh, we can't put that on unless it's got this in and this in and this in. They used to make their own shows and they've forgotten that because nobody's there anymore who remembers the old days of the BBC when they made their own shows from the donut. And now the poor independents have to try and push what they want to do and be creative and be wonderful. And then all these dictates come at them. It's not easy, is it? It's terrible for them.
No.
It's awful. I don't know. It's a shame, really, isn't it? But there we go. That's what's happening. That's what's happening over with that Bad Wolf thing. But, if you're going for it, good luck to you. Mud Crab. So they are holding right of first refusal for 12 months. So if your script is any good, you can't even submit it to someone else till next year. No, because you're still with Bad Wolf at the time. So therefore, they own your property. And it gives them 12 months to be able to say, oh, can we fit that in? Or can we do something? Or can we give it to someone who can develop it? I would imagine, allegedly. I don't know.
And optioning,
theft, allegedly.
Optioning it doesn't mean that they're going to do it, does it? But if they say on month 11, oh, we're going to option it, and then it's a 5-year process that they could still then say, no, we're not doing it after all.
Yeah.
Basically, you're writing off your idea, aren't you? They're just making sure you don't take it to anybody else.
Yeah, because it could be the next huge thing. Because you never know when that's going to happen, is it? You just don't know. And you don't know who's going to come up with it. But if there's some real talent there, at some point, one of those real talents is going to come up with the next big thing. Yeah. And if you look at RTD himself, he was the huge thing in 1999 because of Queer as Folk. He was the next big thing. He suddenly had that huge hit, which was only a huge hit because it was aimed at my generation of LGB community. And we loved it and raved about it. And then the blooming press got hold of it and said, oh, this is a bit naughty and saucy. And people watched it because they love naughty and sauce.
But sometimes things hit at the right time as well. Sometimes it's a fluke, isn't it? You know, which I think it was a bit.
Yeah, that was a fluke. But let's face it, he's just been churning out the same thing ever since. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's an editorial comment. Hello, Digby. It's nice to see you. Digby Strawbridge is joining us. Evening, lovely people on the panel and lovely people in the chat. I loved the season 25 overview. I'm very glad you did. So thank you very much for that. And that was another good one from us, I think.
Yeah. 5 weeks to go. Yay.
That's until season 25 comes on the collector's edition Blu-rays, obviously. So it's 5 weeks for you to go, 150 years for me. Standard edition.
At least.
Get your acts together, BBC Studios. Come on. I've only had season 22 on standard edition this year. Come on. Season 17 at the beginning of the year. Come on. Slightly impatient now. Bring the next one in. But nice to see you, Digby. Nice to see you. And Paul Richards saying, I've had some daft fan telling me that the Doctor was always sexual, even in Classic Who. He won't back down. Well, send him to us. And he will do.
Yeah.
Because we can prove to him an awful lot of stuff there, can't we? Timkins is saying to us, can we give the BBC a trial 12 months and then use their idea for having a national broadcaster that's actually good before defunding them?
What a lovely idea.
It's a fabulous idea, I think, and I think that should come into force straight away, actually. But that's great. Well, listen, that was, gosh, that was a whirlwind, wasn't it? We've talked about an awful lot of stuff there anyway. You're watching Whose Views. This is Headlines. It's Sunday, the 22nd of September. It's 2024. And it's been another week for fan speculation and rumour. Do you know, I'm getting fed up with fan speculation and rumour. I really am. I know we've always had it. But what is going on these days? Have you seen all this? Now, you probably have, but we're going to talk about all this stuff because it's, oh, I'm getting a headache talking about it. There's been so much in this 1 week, and some of it is regurgitated from 2 or 3 years ago. So should we go through it? Are you ready for this, guys? Are you ready for all this?
Yes.
Now, at this point, I'm going to give you a spoiler alert, everybody. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Spoiler alert, because some of this is so ridiculous. It's true. I'm sure of it. And this will involve season 2 and beyond. Okay, he says beyond.
Beyond. What, beyond the grave?
beyond 2025. So it's all rumor. I'm saying that, but bear in mind that a lot of this stuff, you'll see what I mean now. If you haven't seen any of this, there's a lot of stuff going on. So let's crack on with it, shall we? Here we go. Ruby will not be traveling with the Doctor for the majority of the next season. We know that, though.
We know
anyway,
that. Yeah.
That's been more or less confirmed. Reddit. This is all from Reddit. You've probably seen these, but let's go through it. She'll appear throughout, including in a Doctor Light episode, hurrah, where she will be working with Unit. Oh, that's original.
Yeah, what? Sorry, I've seen this, but why is there another Doctor Light episode? I mean, Shooty has no chance whatsoever anyway, but why is he not in it? That's stupid.
Well, it's all
he's not filming. He's not filming Sex Education, is he?
No, he's not. No,
it's
he's having
not,
a lie down. Probably.
This series that they're talking about here was filmed after a little break from series 1, so it was more or less a whole what they used to do in the old days of the modern Who, where they did one whole season of 13 episodes in one go over 9 months, didn't they? So, poor things. They have to work, this generation. They're not that good at it. Anyway, it carries on. She and the Doctor will reunite in the finale, however. The series will include one returning monster, but not a Dalek or a Cyberman. Series 15 will continue to lean into fantasy. No surprise there. Episode 2 will take place in 1950s Miami, with a focus on the paranormal, which we knew. We'll get an episode that takes place mostly on the TARDIS. Oh, Murray Gold.
In the console room, though, I'd imagine.
Yeah, well, yippee. Murray Gold wrote a new original song for a scene that takes place during a concert on an alien planet. Oh, I've seemed to recall that happening already before.
Yeah, the Rings of Vatican. What it's called, the Matt Smith episode.
Akatan,
yeah, what's called, yeah.
Whatever it was, I don't know. Anyway, it carries on. Jonah Howard King will be playing Mrs. Flood's grandson, and Mrs. Flood will be the central antagonist of the finale, and will involve her reshaping time and trapping the Doctor. Mel will die in the finale, sacrificing herself to save Ruby and Belinda. That's the new companion. This will leave the Doctor wanting to somewhat distance himself from humanity, fearing that he puts too many people in danger. Seem to have seen this before. With the Doctor being out of reach during the events of the war between the land and the sea, it will be revealed that the Master is now a prisoner of Unit, and he will be forced to help with the Sea Devil situation, finally giving him the chance to be the hero, kind of similar to Loki.
What was that about stealing original ideas?
The Master will be played by Russell Tovey.
God, and no.
Guga Mbatha-Raw will play a scientist and activist siding with the Sea Devils. Note, these aren't my leaks, just leaks I've found on various sites. So that's some of them. There were the Reddit ones. So a lot of people covered those in the week, and I read them myself and just thinking, haha. But it actually sounds a lot of it is plausible, I think.
Yeah.
Current Doctor
Who. Russell Tovey is the Master. That is mind-boggling. I'm sorry. Casting is all. I've not learnt from casting Shooty as the Doctor. He is not the Master. I'm sorry. You know.
I can see lots of chats coming through, but we're not finished yet. Who's viewers, because look at this as well, because we've got more coming from Screen Rant. Doctor Who has already recast one classic era companion perfectly ahead of season 15 by Daniel Bibby. Have you seen this one? Because this is Doctor Who has already cast Sadie Miller, Elizabeth Sladen's daughter, as Sarah Jane Smith. Miller has voiced her mother's former character in Doctor Who audio adventures. And that's where it needs to stop. Now, this is nonsense straight away, I have to say, because Russell has killed off Sarah Jane Smith.
Yeah.
And it was mentioned in that awful, what was the last of the anniversary specials?
The Giggle.
The Giggle. It was in there. The Shooty Doctor says to the Tenant Doctor, along the lines of Sarah Jane's dead. Can you believe it? So, again, this is fan nonsense, isn't it? This is fan speculation. This is fans going, oh my goodness, wouldn't that make a nice filler on the website or wherever they're putting this nonsense? Oh, Sadie Miller's already done it in the audios, and I think it would be nice to get her into the show. So let's write about it. Knock it off. Watch it. Even I know that Sarah Jane has mistakenly, in my opinion, been killed off in the series off screen.
Yeah.
Awful. Absolutely awful.
The thing about that is don't recast it. Leave the character, let it have its respect, and create a new character or use someone who's still alive.
This is the thing about companions, though. We get a new companion coming across every 2-3 years. You know, there's a new companion continually to keep the show fresh. It was always like that in 26 years of proper time and space travel as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And one thing that proper Who did is it very rarely went back to original companions because it had a new one moving it on. So why the modern Who has been... I understand why they brought Liz back, and I'm glad they did because she got her own series out of it. They brought it back to say this is the same Doctor Who. Why do it any more than that? Why continue to... Rose, that's just got a bit boring now, hasn't it? Bringing her back every 20 minutes. Yeah. Do you not think? What do you make of it, guys?
Well, I think if they keep doing that, it weakens the character. I mean, I thought Rose was okay, but in Doomsday, if you are attached to her and she left the way she left, that was great. But bringing it back weakens the character, weakens the drama of our original exit, like what he did with Donna when they reset Donna's timeline with the buy bit they did at the end of the Star Beast. It's like you just kill the character stone dead. They lose all the drama, don't they?
Well, they've lost all the drama anyway because they're not after drama anymore, are they?
Yeah. But you know what I mean? If they did that with in the Green Death with Jo, and they brought her back in season 11, and in 5 minutes after she left, it doesn't work. That wonderful moment when she leaves and the Doctor gives her the crystal and all that kind of stuff is beautiful, but bringing her back next week just kills it, doesn't it?
Totally.
I think with recasting characters where the original actor has passed away, nothing against Sadie Miller. And I've not heard any of her audios, so she may have been good. I don't know. But I don't care whether she's Liz Sladen's daughter or not. That character should just be left. They should not recast. They are tampering with things that they should leave well alone. And I know that sounds like a tagline from many a classic Doctor Who story, tampering with forces. You should just leave the character be, let the character live on in people's memories and leave it at that. I mean, didn't one of the BBC novels kill off Joe Grant? I recall.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I think it did. It was I can't remember which one it was now, but yes, or was it one of the New Adventures? I can't remember. It was one of the original ones because there was a bit of a fuss about it, and everybody just wrote it off or didn't buy it because you could then,
Yeah,
but it just don't bring them back just to belittle the character and kill them. Yeah, just leave them alone and don't recast. They're just thinking that everything they do is better than how it used to be. They think they're superior. They think they're better than what went before. And doesn't this go against everything that Bad Wolf are saying? It's got to be original. It's got to be original, except for when we do it. Then we will scrape the bottom of every barrel. Not that Liz Sladen is the bottom of a barrel by any means.
But the difference is now is that they're being led by who. bad wolf, aren't they? He's leading them when it comes to Doctor Who. And they all think he knows Doctor Who better than anybody else in the world. And he doesn't. And what they don't really see is the fact that he's continuing the Chibnall legacy of killing the thing. And it's as though they're absolutely determined to do such a thing, because it's nowhere near, as we proved in our review shows, it's Doctor Who. It's not any way, shape or form Doctor Who. It's ridiculous. Lots of you in the chat getting in touch with us about all this as well, about these so-called rumours. Thank you, Robert, for saying the Master is supposed to be bad. And Raymond reminded Raymond Williams saying to us the rumours are now reaching the Wilderness Years levels, and the thing's still on air. Legion of James saying cut and paste, but the glue ain't sticking too well, is it? No, I mean, they did it with the Brigadier as well. They killed the Brigadier off on screen. Why? Why can't they just be out there somewhere? Why do they have to kill them off in the story? Why do they have to acknowledge that? If the actor has passed, that's sad enough, but to actually kill off the character as well, I prefer to think of Sarah Jane still somewhere out there with K9 and that bunch of kids. Over in Ealing, doing what she needs to do. And I think sometimes it's because, we can't bring them back into the series. Who cares?
But you don't need to. That's the thing. You just leave it there and don't tamper with it. Don't try and recreate it, because that's what they'll try and do with Sadie Miller. They'll bring her back with K9, will they? That's awful.
Well, it's ridiculous. I mean, gosh, absolute nonsense. You're all approving in the chat of Russell Tovey as the Master. You're all really, really... Really,
and the Master being in prison, and there's an episode with the Sea Devils in it. That's original.
Yeah, really, really, really. They're all totally. I mean, people are fainting over this news, guys, in the chat. They are so totally excited with it. I'm sure we've all done something bad in a past life to get Tovey as the Master, says Russ Morgan. It totally sounds plausible, says Peter Venkman Fansite. That's why I said spoilers at the beginning, because it does, doesn't it? It absolutely does. It sounds typical. Russell Tovey is more likely to be Romana. At this day and age, possibly. Hugh James saying this sounds like a real pile of this.
There was one of the missing I think it was one of them. I'm just looking at a list, but it doesn't jump out at me. There was one of the BBC missing adventures, I think it was, that may have had Ian and Barbara in it, but they used, because the Doctor was away, they had the Master acting for Unit, and so obviously he had a subtext anyway. But they had the Master acting on behalf of Unit because the Doctor wasn't there. So even this, if true, is a pinched idea, really.
I mean, the thing is that they did it in Claws of Axos beautifully when the Master had to help Unit when the Doctor was trapped in Axos. That was wonderful. But they had someone, Delgado, playing the Master, who was charming, evil, etc., superb actor, lots of presence. But you need that in the Master. And no disrespect to Russell Tovey, he's not got that gravitas.
No. And I think the continuing casting of people that they approve of and like and have the same political opinion of themselves it's got to stop, basically. It's got to stop, because it's just not having any impact at all. I mean, the problem we've got now is got a leading man that doesn't seem to have any gravitas. So can you imagine bringing in somebody like Charles Dance as the Master? He'd act him off screen.
Jacoby back again would be lovely,
Act him off screen. Yeah. I'm sure he would. It'd be very interesting to see it. But, no, not for me.
He would just cry if Charles Dance came in, surely.
Well, we know that because he's already said that there's Russell has confirmed there's more crying to come in the next series. We're going to be introducing on our review shows here on Who's Views the cryometer. As well as the wokeometer. That's
going to be broken as well, I think.
Yeah. How many times does he cry in the episode? That's one of our games that we've got coming up from Christmas onwards, everybody. Thank you, John Cartwright, for joining us. And hello and evening to Rob Alexander, who's also with us now. It's nice to see you. Lots of you commenting about this particular thing here. These are the first bits of rumors. Let's get back into it because there were more. Now, this is one that's been around for quite a while. Oh, excuse me while I rub my eyes in frustration with this one. Paul, I know you're really keen on this one as well, but here we go again because this has raised its head again this week, everybody. Doctor Who, William Hartnell was never considered the first Doctor from Screen Rant by Jack Walters. This is a big thing. Look at this, everybody. This, of course, is Doctor Who has been through several iterations of the titular Time Lord since it began in 1963. But while most audiences would understandably consider William Hartnell to the original version to be the first Doctor, this technically isn't true. Throughout the show's extensive history, there have been plenty of different writers and showrunners in charge of the project, and each one has made dramatic changes to the canon that make it somewhat difficult to understand exactly where every single version of the Doctor sits on the timeline. Now, I don't know where Jack Walters is talking about here, because for 26 years, we didn't have anything radical like this. Anyway, It keeps carrying on. Thankfully, Doctor Who is a show with an immense fan base and a very active community that helps answer all of these questions. However, there are some questions in the show that even the most vocal audiences don't know the answer to. The Doctor's true name, for one. And that's why it's called Doctor Who, you silly boy. And the confusing history of regeneration in Doctor Who has raised several questions. But the most fascinating one is regarding the Doctor's incarnations before the narrative of the show begins. Where audiences have previously been trapped by the question, it seems to have been answered in an old Doctor Who magazine. Now, at this point, I get bored. So in a nutcase,
that's right, yeah.
In a nutshell, this, of course, is bringing up that whole nonsense that Chibnall put into one of his Jodie Whittaker episodes, which states that these people are previous incarnations of the Doctor. Now, as Doctor Who fans, we know who these people are in real life. God love them. Absolutely. But according to Chibnall, of course, they were previous incarnations of the Doctor.
They're all white men for a start off, so Chibnall would never have had them as canon.
Yeah. And what we're going to get, the further adventures of the Robert Holmes Doctor, that's not going to work. He's dead. So, yeah.
But I just don't understand where this has come from. Why will this not be laid to rest? Why? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Why is this fella writing this, bringing this up again all these years later? I mean, I remember this coming out, and it wasn't anything malicious back in the 80s. It was a thing that, is that what they were trying to say? It was a question, more or less, at the time, wasn't it? Which people dismissed, and the series itself dismissed as it moved on. You know, as it goes on. It was actually even confirmed in the 1996 TV movie. They went to that length of redubbing the line.
Yeah.
To put the actual lives thing in there. Mordrin Undead, states it, doesn't it? The Five Doctors states it. There's all these things.
The Three Doctors states it.
I just don't understand why they can't leave this thing. Like, why do they have to keep bringing this up?
This is the bit that got me, right? And that's why I've got to have respect for Bill, because Hartnell started the series. And I know everyone says that Troughton helped it progress because he did the first regeneration, but Hartnell started it all. He was there at the very, very beginning, and the Doctor was doing fantastically well for the first couple of seasons, getting like 12, 13 million an episode come season 2. But when they devised Doctor Who, he was the only Doctor, not just the first one, because they had no idea about regeneration. He was the original Doctor and the only Doctor was going to be. There was only a second one because Hartnell couldn't continue, and they wanted to keep the show going. So originally, it was devised as one character, the first character and only character. So keep that in mind.
Well, I think it's absolutely true. We've got lots of people talking about this in the chat as ever. We've got Wayne Cooper with us saying they keep bringing it up because they know it pisses me right off. Charlie is saying to us, in Morbius, we saw all the previous Doctors, then we had all of the Morbius faces. That's how me, as a, what was I being, 6-year-old, took this as well, Charlie. It was a wrestling match.
Yeah.
And Morbius wins. And I remember this as I'm 6 thinking, oh my God, there's the 3 other guys that have been the Doctor, and he's going to lose. And I remember thinking, I was actually getting quite tense, guys. I'm very frightened because here comes these other faces. And I thought Morbius has had more lives.
Yeah.
He's had more life. He's going to win. This is it. I was terrified as a 6-year-old. It was part of that whole story.
That's you proving a point that a 6-year-old then has way more mental ability than a lot of the melts that are putting these silly stories together now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very true. Very probably.
And
true.
as you said in the article already, JT, it's called Doctor Who. We don't want to know everything about him.
We cannot know anything about him. Paul is actually saying, in Brain of Morbius, why would the Doctor's previous self show up if he had his memory wiped? Now, again, I think that's something to do with the Chibnall era, is it not?
Yes, yeah. And the bad writing of that, yeah.
Right. So actually, they're contradicting themselves in that, Paul.
Yeah.
Michael Q, William Hartnell is the first Doctor. It's not Joe Martin, JT. On this channel, it will always be hashtag Hartnell first. No debate on it at all.
Yeah,
It's always
yeah.
going to be Hartnell. He's the first Doctor. And from my eyes, and you guys can dismiss this or support it, whatever you want, it's all down to you. But Jodie Whittaker and Joe Martin don't count. And I'm that close to actually saying the same thing about Gatwa, because it doesn't grab me as an individual, and I think it's nonsense. So at the moment, for me, there are 12 Doctors, and that's when he was supposed to kick the bucket for good.
Yeah.
You know, goodness me, you might have got 13th, I guess, because 12 regenerations, 13 bodies. But so far, I haven't seen any sign of a 13th Doctor. Just me. Paul Roughton, it's nice to see you, my friend. How are you? You must give me an email, whosviews1@gmail.com. These morons clinging to a throwaway scene in Brain of Morbius easily explained away as anything but previous Doctors. Absolutely agree. I just can't understand, though, why it's regurgitated and why, again, it's coming out. And you've got all these people I noticed on social media coming out after the Screen Rant thing, going on about, see, we told you. Oh, go away. You're doing my head in. Raymond Williams is saying, in Mordred Undead, the fifth Doctor states he's only regenerated 4 times. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. We've got all this coming on here. You've got so many comments, everybody, about this. This is a hot topic still. And in my opinion, it shouldn't be. Paul is also saying to us, we never saw them when the Daleks scanned the Doctor's mind in Day of the Daleks.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
that is a true one, isn't it? I keep forgetting about that one. There's so many things that come up in the original series to state, no, it's only 7 Doctors at that point, and then we get the 8th one coming in, and as I say, they went to great pains to say he was incarnation number 8, regeneration 7.
Before New Who started, really, Doctor Who and the regeneration was quite sacred. Now it's really trivial, and what they've done is they've really watered it down so much. It makes a nonsense of any jeopardy as well, which is such a shame.
Yes, it's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, to say now there's millions of them or whatever we've said, you're absolutely right, Paul. It devalues the character. The character can no longer ever die, you know, because another is going to spring up a hand.
It's become too convenient now, whereas before it was there as a necessity to keep the show going. Now it's just, oh, let's change it. Yeah,
and that was the special thing about regeneration, wasn't it? Because it only happened every so often. Now it happens every 3 or 4 years without fail, because the actor wants to go on to other things, because they use Doctor Who as a stepping stone.
And the last 2 actors, Ncuti and Jodie, have had no impact of the Doctor, so you don't care when they leave. You know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely.
In fact, you look forward to them leaving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your comments, everybody. This is great. If all those faces says Talons in Brain of Morbius are supposed to be the Doctors, then that's a very one-sided contest. I don't believe it. TARDIS Travels is also saying to us that Screen Rant, what do we expect? Well,
I think they hold on to the fact that it showed all of the Doctors, then all of Morbius's, rather than interspacing them out. If they'd maybe done 1 or 2 of the others after Tom's face and then after Pertwee's and then all the rest, then they may have been able to sleep in their cradles a little bit easier without having to think of this fan wankery, really.
Yeah, it is all nonsense. It's absolute nonsense.
I'm sure Douglas Camfield would a great Doctor, but we're not going to see that, are we?
No, we're never going to see that. Problem being is saying to us, if it was a mental match and we didn't see any of Morbius's incarnations, then how did he win? This is the whole point, isn't it? It was a wrestling match between these 2 Time Lords. Go and watch the series. Go and watch the episodes, because it's actually in there. And I'm sure at some point on this channel we will be coming back to this. But at this particular point, we've had these, haven't we? And I just want to point out to these people who are going with this nonsense. You've seen these 8 faces. So who the hell was this? I'll tell you who it was.
That's Morbius.
Yeah.
It's Morbius. There it is. There's the face. That was his last incarnation. That was
Michael Spice.
Yes. This was his last incarnation. So let's put it to rest, shall we? Because there it is. They were his faces there up to the incarnation in which he died. And there's the clay model of that head. So let's put this to rest. They were Morbius. I can't believe
he's got a great face as well, hasn't he? Superb face.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very Morbius face.
Yeah.
For what we
know
about
what they're trying to do as well, though, is they're trying. If that was an additional face, then that's 9 Morbius faces, and obviously we've got 4 Doctor faces, so that's 13. But they're applying rules that came after the Brain of Morbius to the Brain of Morbius, because it was after the Brain of Morbius in Deadly Assassin that we first found out that there was 12 regenerations. So that wasn't even a thing at the time of Brain of Morbius. So it's just an exercise in sad nappy wearing retconning, and it's just not worth even considering.
It really isn't. I hope it doesn't come up yet again, Peter Venkman, because for anybody that's going with this thing, we just have to say, look, there's the last incarnation where he was killed, head removed, the lot to make sure he couldn't regenerate.
Yeah.
That was it, and the Sisterhood were there. They implemented it all. It's just ridiculous. But as I say, I it's going to come up on this show again because we're going to be talking about.
I love Brain of Morbius. I look forward at some point, at any time when we get around to reviewing, it'll be superb. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you for all your comments as ever. Thank you. So this is great to see you all. Legion James saying to us all here, we all knew who those faces were, and so do they. They're just using it for their own narrative, and New Who fans lap it up because they're not invested pre-Eccleston. That's a good point, isn't it? And Julianne saying to us, all of New Who was crapped all over regeneration, from fake outs, Tennant, to giving regenerations away, Smith, to the biggest load of cobblers ever, flipping by generation. Totally agree.
Well, that one that Peter Capaldi did as well for Bill, that was awful.
Yeah, what was that about? How did he
on and off? Yeah.
I didn't understand. At the time, I remember cringing, going, how do you do that? And how did River Song become a Time Lord?
I dread to think.
It's ridiculous.
Wasn't a line about her being conceived in the time vortex or some other, not literally, in the TARDIS, I mean.
These New Who types love breaking what works, says Paul Richard. This is why I'm saying that this is supposed to be a continuation of the original series. I'm sorry, it's not. It's nowhere near it. They may have called it the same Doctor. They may have given her a police box as the TARDIS, but since it came back, they've changed it into their own image. It's nowhere near what it was, because it's all about them and how clever they want to look at and how can they change the myth. It's not the same show at all. They've got no respect.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous, isn't it, everybody? But anyway, that's come up again on that one. But that's the rumors going through. So we've had a lot of rumors and fan speculation there for you, everybody, from Reddit, from Screen Rant, and that whole thing again about William Hartnell not being the first Doctor, and of course he absolutely is.
Yeah, yes, and he's superb as the Doctor as well.
He really is. Yeah.
And here he is.
Right role, right time.
As I say, on this channel, it's always going to be, everybody, always going to be hashtag Hartnell first. It's not going to change, no matter what they throw in the show. And I don't care if Richard E. Grant is suddenly now accepted as a Doctor. It's just ridiculous. It's utter nonsense. How many have we got now?
But if that was the Doctor, that would have made Tom's Doctor the 13th with all those previous 9, which means when you get to the Deadly Assassin, and then that Tom's Doctor is the last one, which means who's Davison, who's Colin Baker, who's Sylvester McCoy. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. And the BBC justifying it in that stupid way they did by saying every character has an origin story. Your property is called Doctor Who.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. I mean, they've gone down too much of this modern thing about saying, oh, everybody has to have an origin story. Oh, we have to do it. It's utter nonsense. It shows just how they do not understand this series. Not one element.
Well, I'm really surprised, but I'm glad they've not done it. They've not done a young Hartnell on Gallifrey mini-series like they did with Superman.
And that was mooted.
Sorry, yes.
That was mooted, wasn't it? That was mooted.
I think it was,
RTD that actually vetoed it.
Yeah,
because he said no, it's Doctor Who. These days, I don't know if he would actually have that same thing because he's not the same person. I reckon he'd say, "Well, that's an interesting idea. What can we do with it?"
Yeah.
But let's see how the war between the land and the sea, or whatever it's called, the Sea Devil spin-off, is received, because I can't see there being any more. They're all going on about, aren't they, Who viewers, about how many spin-offs they've got in development. Really.
Having said that, if we did get a Gallifrey pre-Hartnell, it'll be the Timeless Child Gallifrey one, the God help us.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely Chibnall's absolutely destroyed that now as well, hasn't he? I mean, not that we wanted it, but they've just basically, as we're saying here, devalued everything. They've devalued the character's history. They have devalued the character's background, which should remain a mystery. They've devalued regeneration and the urgency of regeneration. It's just got silly. It's just become another easy way for them to write a script and get out of something. You know, Stephen Braddock, William Hartnell, sorry, from Marjorie says, was the first Doctor that started it all. 26 years of brilliant episodes and adventures. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Stephen Braddock actually saying to us here, why W2324 and Julianne, hi there. Yes, there was jeopardy back then. Each regeneration was a death with consequences. And it was something that was special to not just fandom, but to the British public as well. When you knew the Doctor was going to die, you would tune in. I mean, look at the massive success that the built-in audience for the modern era had. Look how many watched Eccleston going, how many came back for Tennant going.
Yeah. Don't get started on standing up regeneration, so that's awful. He's dying. He should be lying down, for God's sake. You know? We nearly had it with Capaldi, didn't we? But not quite.
We nearly had it with Capaldi, but then they had to go and write another episode because Chibnall refused to, allegedly.
Yeah.
You know, absolute nonsense. I wonder why, because maybe he was still a bit worried. I don't know them. Julianne is telling us all to stop. Don't give them ideas. And Dog Olive, nice to see you. Classic Who needs to be revered as canon.
Yeah.
Nice to see you, Dog Olive. Yeah, well, no.
Have respect for your source material. That's the thing. Yeah.
Yes, but they don't now because their source material started in 2005, along with their alleged new fan base that they're always getting at. But to be quite honest, some of the youngsters that grew up with the 2005 onward series have left the show now because they're now in the 20s, the late teens, early 20s. Yeah. They've gone. You know, they're not watching it. Look at the amount of Doctor Who merchandise from those kids that have now got into the late teens and are in Oxfam. Or
that's next year's 20 years since New Who came back. It's like 20 years. Scary.
Yeah. 20 years, everybody. Yeah. Wow. The spin-off will flop, predicts TARDIS travels. I'm not going to argue with you. And the Young Doctor Adventures, says Talons of Wayne Chiang.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, you heard it here first.
Yeah. Garbage is saying, I will be watching the Brain of Morbius again. What a greatly written episode. Well, I think we all will for some bizarre reason coming up in the next couple of weeks. Garbage. I think we're all going to be on the Whotastic panel. I don't believe there are any spin-offs in development. Neither do I, Neville. I think it's all talk. I think it's all flannel. I really, really do. And Steve Hindley's with us. Hello, Steve. 4 stories after Morbius, there is a massive revelation about Time Lords who can only regenerate 12 times. Those faces were the Morbius incarnations. It's a great point, Steve Hindley. Thank you for putting it there, because this was the saying that Philip Hinchcliffe has played around with the past, hasn't he? Have been saying, oh, the idea was that and then he's dismissed it. And you're actually proving the point that actually they did dismiss it at the time because he brought that in 4 stories afterwards. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I also seem to remember Terence Dix once saying what a load of rubbish that was when somebody muted the idea to him.
Yeah. And it's under the same production team, so that makes perfect sense, you know?
The only spin-off I want, says Steve Braddock, is the 8th Doctor. Well, it's not going to happen. I'm sure. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's not going to happen because he would get more viewers, Paul McGann, than Shooty does.
Oh, God, yeah. And
all the fandom would return as well, wouldn't they, Ian? All the fandom would reunite and return to welcome back the 8th Doctor. I can't see them doing that.
To welcome back the Doctor period, I think.
Yeah. And Russell T. Davies would hate it. He would not be able to cope.
Absolutely. He really wouldn't.
That's why they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
I would want him as far away from it as possible. You've got that spin-off to do, and you've got this little thing that you're ruining called Doctor Who to write. So why don't you go on and do that? And let's give this to Pete McTeague or somebody else to produce the 8th Doctor series. Oh, and you're just going to put it on iPlayer. Surprise, surprise. Huge. Still, it's going to be huge. It would be massive still. And probably do more on marketing. There's never going to be 2 Doctors around at the same time like that. They can't afford it. It takes away from their leading man, their main man. You know.
Well, they don't really have a leading man, do they?
No,
really?
They don't. They don't.
So.
But somebody like McGann is exactly what they need.
Yeah.
Gravitas, the ability to act, and understanding of the script.
Yeah.
And his Doctor has that sort of ability because he's been doing it for years now. Let's face it.
Yeah.
He's got that ability to actually turn in a different sort of way. He can turn into that sort of darker side of the Doctor beautifully. It's very magical how he managed to do it. It's not forced. It's just a look or a way he uses his voice It's very interesting. It would be interesting to see it, but I don't think we're going to get it. They missed the opportunity for the 50th.
Yeah.
Time Lord Victorious is with us as well. It's nice to see you. I agree with Andrew Cartmel. The mystery of the Doctor is important, and not knowing his past before he was on screen adds more to the Doctor, his unpredictability, and it keeps you intrigued. It made the character over 26 years. Doctor Who, people would go, oh, it's Doctor Who. Nobody knew, and now they felt in the last 7 years, whatever it is. We need to explain who that is.
Yeah,
bloody idiots. I'm sorry, but how stupid. Who would come up with such an idea?
Well, as we said already, it's not soap, is it? So
No,
well, it is now.
It is now, yeah, but it's not a soap originally.
It really is. Yeah. Thank you very much. Noel's joining us as well. Hello, Noel. It's nice to see you. How are you? Hope you are well. And Timescales is here with us. Hello, the Timescales. RTD might really enjoy creating the Young Doctor adventures. I'm sure he would now.
Yeah. He'd be a time talked to start off with, though.
I know. Who would watch it? Who would watch it? None of us would watch it, would it? It'd be another flop. And Len looks back. It's nice to see you. Of course they were Morbius, damn it. Of course they were. Totally. Anyway, we all know where we're coming from on that one, weren't we, everybody? Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Let's say hello to Lee Patton. I'm going to be careful with this one because there's certain words in what you've said here that I can't say, and it's there. In Let's Kill they had they had River Song kiss the Doctor with a lipstick that suspends regeneration. But after the introduction of the first fake Doctor, John Hurt, suddenly Matt Smith was the last Doctor. Yeah. And wouldn't it, Lee, I've said this before on live streams, wouldn't it have made more sense that instead of casting the wonderful late great John Hurt, who we all love and admire, as an unseen Doctor, but to put him in as the master or something, the big bad of the episode, right? Because that was lacking in there. The Daleks aren't really the big bad. It turns out there isn't really a big bad in that if you watch Day of the Doctor.
Yeah.
If you want to put yourself through that nonsense anymore. But anyway, you can do. Wouldn't it have been brilliant to have McGann in? And I remember Lee Moffat saying he considered that and rejected it because he couldn't see McGann pressing the big red button. He didn't press it anyway, for crying out loud. He was saved by his two future selves. So McGann would have been perfect.
And the idea is, though, he's meant to be kind of war-torn by that point anyway. He's had enough. So he gets to that point of frustration to be like that. That's the whole point, you know?
Yes, it would have been an interesting character arc with missing stories in the middle for people to take on, fans I'm talking about there, of how the Eighth Doctor gets from where he starts with all the life and the wonder to a battle-worn Doctor who's at that point where he's thinking, I'm going to get rid of everybody. That, to me, would have been a more interesting show and given McGann the presence that we all wanted, tied off his character properly as he regenerates into Eccleston, and we wouldn't be in the mess we are in today.
And fans have an investment with the Eighth Doctor where they don't have with the Ward Doctor or the Fugitive Doctor because they'll only be there for like 2 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
I would have rather have seen John Hurt as some fabulous baddie in that episode because, as I say, there is no baddie in it.
Omega or something, or Rassilon or something. I don't know.
Not even anything like that. You could have done the Master, or you could have done a big war villain, a brand new thing. John Hurt would have been amazing.
Yeah,
something new.
Yeah, something new.
Because when you think about it, he's actually wasted as the Doctor. You know, he's wasted. And it's such a shame. If you'd given him a real juicy part, he would have really gone up there, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
And given Smith and Tennant and McGann something to play against.
Yeah.
You should have had me writing it, shouldn't you, everybody? I would have begged McGann. I was like, please come back. Please come back.
He would have come back as well. That's the annoying thing. He would have come back.
He was ready to, wasn't
he? Yeah.
He was ready to. But it's a shame, isn't it? All these lost opportunities. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but in my opinion, it's the people here making these decisions. They need to be less selfish and think more about the show and how to keep it going rather than who do I want to work with.
Yeah.
Or how do I get around this? Or how am I not doing that? Or, you know.
Do something that serves the story or cast someone who serves the story. Yeah.
Or if you're doing something like an anniversary story.
Yeah.
Yeah. To an extent, I think RTD nearly got it right with his specials last year, alleged specials last year, because it was nothing to do with the anniversary, really. It was if he'd written 3 really good stories, that would have been an anniversary special. It is with the odd thing to say, oh, look, the show's been around for 60 years. You know, the Celestial Toymaker was a big thing, which he mucked up. You know, you could have had the Daleks in there because it was their 60th as well. Yeah. It didn't have to be all about doctors. I don't
No
know.
doubt that's who Mrs. Flood is. It'll be the toy maker in disguise, no doubt.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm doing it again, sorry.
This is what we do here on Whose Views, everybody. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe to us. Give us a thumbs up, like as well. If you are subscribed, make sure you are still subscribed to the channel. It is lovely to see you. Thank you so much. That was all the usual stuff, the rumors and speculations and fans not making things easy for themselves, that we've just proved. Anyway, Hartnell first. And yes, always the way to go on this channel. Some things that are not rumors this week are, well, as this, it's the latest casting. In the last couple of weeks, it's been announced that the chap on the left, who, if you are in Britain, you will recognize, this is Charlie Condon. Now, he's known now mainly for Coronation Street. Okay, he's going to be in series 2 as a yet unannounced character. The chap on the right, we mentioned in the room a bit just there. This is Jonah Howard King. He's known for playing parts in Howard's End and the Little Mermaid film. If you were silly enough to go and see that.
Was that live action or was he animated?
That's the Leeson one, so that's the live action.
Okay, right.
So that means he can sing. Not that I'm implying there might be another singing episode coming up.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's going to be in that. Apparently and allegedly, he's playing Ruby Sunday's boyfriend.
Oh, right. Yeah. And the doctor's going to find him very attractive, obviously. Yeah.
Very probably. And there's going to be some sort of war going on between Ruby and the doctor, even though they don't meet until the very final episode. And the lady in the middle, I'm actually very, very excited about this. This cheered me up this week for Doctor Who, everybody, because this is Archie Panjabi. She's rumoured to be playing a villain in the next series of Doctor Who. Now,
I'm calling it now.
I've actually admired Archie Panjabi for quite a while. You might remember her from the film Bend It Like Beckham all those years ago. She was one of the leads in that one. She's had a fantastic career going on from that. She's been in The Constant Gardener. She's been in The Fall. She's been in Shetland. But she's also been an Emmy Award-winning actress for her episodes, her continuous role in The Good Wife over on American television, which I was addicted to for a number of years, actually. I loved The Good Wife. And she was in it as the private investigator there for the solicitors firm, if you remember The Good Wife. So Archie's going to be in the next series of Doctor Who as a villain. And yes, the rumours have started, indeed, that she's playing the Rani.
How predictable, eh? Yeah.
How predictable. It's got to that point now where it's either going to be Omega or the Rani every year, everybody. It really, really
eventually we'll be right.
Yeah. Russ, not The Good Life, The Good Wife. I don't know. I can't remember more about that show. It was a big, big show. I can't remember much about it, but it was a big, huge hit over in America. It made its way onto here up to Channel 4, which is how I found it. Hello. So yeah, that was it there. Stephen Braddock is saying, oh no, he was so hammy in The Little Mermaid. I had to go. My girlfriend wanted to see it, although she hated it too, but he was the worst acting in it. So this isn't good. Okay. I don't know who he is, to be honest.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. No clue who that is. Oh, she's good. Is that a small ray of hope? No. She, I mean, she is good. She's an actress and she's good. It depends on the script she's given as well and the sort of villain she's given. Could she be the Master? Along with Russell Tovey, who knows? Yeah. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? No, Robert Payne. It's not the one with Tom and Barbara.
That's a shame because I like The Good Life.
Yeah. And Tim Kins is saying Archie is super. Yes, no disagreement there. She's cracking. I loved Bend It Like Beckham back in the day. That was such a good film back then. I could watch that happily anytime now. But it's nice to see her having such a success, and then she's now appearing. It's just a shame she's in this version of Doctor Who. YW2324 saying yes, she's either the Rani, a new villain, or the alternate Master. And Divine and Dragon saying to us, at this point, I don't want any legacy characters coming back. RTD is certain to destroy them.
Well, you're not supposed to need any original knowledge of the previous Doctor Who, are you? It's supposed to be all 100% fresh.
Yeah.
Sutek. You know,
I'm still waiting for Davros to walk on any minute.
Oh, don't. No. Do you know, I'm hoping that I'm actually hoping that because of the fan backlash to that, as well as the British public backlash, that they've conveniently and quietly shelved that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I hope so.
Yeah.
And let's hope that they don't actually get a third series to prove me wrong.
Just to spite you. Yeah.
They will get it. They will get that third series.
Yeah.
There will be a third set of episodes. TARDIS Travels, not even the Rani will ratchet up the ratings. I've said it before, I've said it again. The British public don't know who the Rani was. She actually appeared in 1985, did okay, but then we know what happened. And then she comes back in 1987, no bugger watched it. At that particular point, no one was really
Hold
watching
on,
it because
Dimension in Time got 13.6 million viewers. They must have seen her on that, surely.
And how many people remember that nonsense? No one, apart from you.
Apart from me. I'm a big fan. I've told you already.
I know it's why I'm having your section.
It's sad. I know.
So that's it. Komodo was saying to us the guest actors were real stars during Classic Who. Absolutely. What else we got here about news about this casting? However good an actor she is, says Paul R., it won't make a blind bit of difference in Disney Who. Let's be honest. Totally. I mean, she might be the standout performance of it, but it's down to the script, and she can only do whatever the script's given her. But she's a cracking actress, and I'd hate to think they've cast her and then just got rid of her like they tend to do. You know what I mean, Paul? It's just gone. Boom. Shocking.
Well, whatever they've cast her for, she's been cast, she's been in, she's rehearsed it, she's done it, she's filmed it, and it's in the can, isn't it, already?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Felicity Kendall has already been in Doctor Who. No. It was the Good Wife.
That she was very good at Unicorn and the Wasp. She was, yes.
Yeah. Stop it, Robert. Behave. Stop it, Rob. Behave. Davros is going to do a song and dance number. Stop it.
Yeah.
Remember the Lenny Henry sketch when he was a doctor dressed as Rupert Bear and everything?
That Joss. Yeah.
Didn't he say Davros and then say Mrs. Davros?
Yeah.
So maybe it's Mrs. Davros.
It could be Mrs. Davros. That's the unknown story, the prequel to where before his accident.
Well, we're all desperate to see. Yeah.
And the first Dalek was actually an unborn mutant. Something went wrong. Oh no, that's too horrific. No, we can't do that. Dogolf. I just rewatched the 3 Doctors this week. Please let it not be Omega. I can more or less guarantee you it's not going to be Omega. It's not going to be Omega. Unless something's happened and I've not heard about it, it's not going to be Omega. Let's have a look. In the next series, there is a dance episode a la recent Star Trek, and Shooty's twerk is joined by the Davros dip. Yes, I can see it happening, because we do know there is a musical episode on the way. Whether it's this next series or the one after that, it's on the way.
Because there's always a twist in the end.
We're never going to live that one down, are they? It's always going to be there. Yeah, exactly. Paul Richard saying RTD will give us soap opera elements rather than decent science fiction. He has done since 2005. If you go back and look through those 2005s, that's what he's done, because that's the audience he was trying to bring in. The EastEnders at the time, loving audience. Doctor Who found its own audience, though, because of us introducing it to people, and, not necessarily the audience he thought he was going to get, and I'll stand by that. They'll do the time warp, I bet, says Pete Harrington. No, because that means they'd have to pay a certain person a lot of money, and I don't think they want to do that.
No.
Because he does charge, I tell you. He's not cheap, I tell you on that one. Other things that are not speculation here, or rumours at all comes from social media. However...
Well, it must be true.
However, it does give rise, some of these things, to rumours, especially this one that just happened to turn up. Now, for somebody, as I said before, for somebody who says he doesn't use social media, Russell T. Davies is very busy on Instagram all the time. Here he is. He gave himself a shot there. He filmed himself there on the set of the TARDIS. And as you can see there, all he said is morning.
And he's having a last look before they pull it down.
Well... This happened just the other day, and of course, people started putting 2 and 2 together. Oh my gosh, they're filming something because he's on the set of the TARDIS. Oh, he's doing that. Oh, he's supposed to be there. I mean, how do these people work? He might just be crossing the set to get to another one.
Yeah,
they might be filming something for Children in Need. They might well be. But it's just amazing how, this one picture, and I think, not that one, this one, I think he does it deliberately sometimes to get this speculation going among fans. You know what I mean?
I agree completely. Yeah, he's just trying to tease you,
Because bearing in mind, it is lit up, which I would imagine if it's not being used at any point, they wouldn't light it up, because we know that each one of those rondels is a different set of circuits, isn't it? It's a different set of lights. So it's an interesting design, a very technical design. But it's, again, it was just all these, oh my gosh, this is happening and this is happening. Oh, they're filming something. Could be reshoots. I'll just add that in there myself.
Could be, yeah.
Maybe it's
Because Disney's not happy with the content again.
It's like Series 1.
Oh, we are awful, but I like you. Also coming up this week on social media was this. This was from Russell Tovey on his Insta of the Gram, filming in progress. So yes, again, we're going back to that new spin-off starring the Sea Devils. And look, oh look, they're at a beach or seaside. How interesting, how novel, how original.
I wonder if the Sea Devils are making sand castles or something. I don't know.
It'll be coming out of the sea again, won't it? Recreating what was.
Oh, probably, yeah. And like they did with the Cybermen in that Capaldi episode, not as good, not as iconic.
Yeah. And then finally coming up from these ones was this. This was from social media as well. This is the director whose name has gone totally out of my head suddenly of the Sea Devil spin-off. Is it Dylan something?
Is his trousers shrunk?
Yeah.
This is the director. It's what's his name, everybody? Somebody remind me in the chat because I've gone completely blank here. Somebody tell me in the chat who this is.
So no crew beyond this point. What are you trying to hide? I wonder.
Yeah. I don't know, but that's it there. So that's him on the set there. They love doing all this sort of stuff. Can anyone remember his name? Because I can't remember his name. Sorry. I'm sure it's Dylan something.
Is there a Sea Devil hiding behind them around the corner?
Well, they're not. Notice they're not actually showing the Sea Devils yet.
No, not yet. No,
they're not, are they?
They're not doing that at all yet. But anyway, that again, it's what we do here. We're just showing you. We're just keeping everybody in tune with what's going on. So there you are. Seaside photo says Robert Payne. Looks like Merthyr Mawr. I've said that right, Merthyr Mawr in South Wales near the River Ogmore. It could well be because they're filming all over the place, aren't they?
They're not filming in Wales, surely.
I think they are. I think they are. I think that's very fresh and novel for them.
Yeah. They've not been there before, have they? No.
No, it's very strange.
Not since Delta and the Bannermen, surely.
Wales in England.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad, JT. None of this is memorable, says Mark Milford. It's true. None of you know either, because none of you are telling me. But anyway, that was him. That's the director of her. He's done some of the Whittaker Doctor Who's, apparently. That's all I know. He's done some of the Whittaker. Dylan something, I think he is. It's definitely a double-barreled name. Anyway, so that's him there. Oh, goodness me. And then another one came up from here. Nothing really to do with the show, but she's at it again, everybody, and still letting us all know that she's around and about. Yes, it's Mrs. Tennant. This is from her Instagram, and this is who she is now, apparently. And what's this then, Mama Cass?
She looks like Captain Marvel or something.
What does it mean?
That was crap as well, wasn't it?
It was crap, yeah.
What does it mean? What's she trying to be? A deck chair? Sun lounger? What are you now?
A butterfly? I don't know. Monoptera? I don't know what she meant to be.
This is who I am now. What do you want validated, love? Do you want an award? What do you want, you and your husband?
Constant validation, though, don't they? They all do.
Don't they just, these people?
Narcissistic buffoon.
Yeah.
Not worth it.
No. Peter's also saying, look, she looks like a candy cane. It's tablecloth time, according to Paul Richards. And Raymond Williams saying it's a walking deck chair. Legion of James, you might think that, but I couldn't possibly comment.
She's possibly a windbreak. That might be it, yeah. Which would make sense.
The break wind.
YW2324 saying, oh, maybe she's doing interpretive dancing. Marjorie saying, is she a human kite?
Tom Kite, more like, yeah. So.
And Russ Morgan, we don't want to know. Stephen Braddock is saying it's a game Monoptera. I'm sure there's enough of them around anyway. So thank you very much. But yes, there we go. So that was those from the Instagram and social media post this week. Yes, so that's brilliant there. Listen, it's time for our and finally bit. And yes, hope you're going to allow me to indulge this, but we have, by popular demand, launched our very own shop here on the channel. Yes, you can get Who's Views sweatshirts and t-shirts and caps and record bags and things like that, all available now on the shop or the store content here on the channel. somewhere on the main page. It's at the very end. You just click on store. We've been very, very lucky as well, guys, because we've had a very special guest to actually show off some of the merchandise we're actually selling on this here. So give it up to our very own Dr. Model. Here he is, his Shooty, with his Who's Views t-shirt here.
Oh, superb.
Yeah, look at that.
Can I just say, is Shooty optional though, is he? He's optional.
Oh, he is optional, yeah, but doesn't he look so pretty? He looks so pretty in his Who's Views t-shirt there, available in red, that one. And then he also put this one on for us, which is the Salty Old Gammons t-shirt.
Oh, I want one of those ones. Yeah.
He's just so pretty, isn't he? To prove he can get away with absolutely anything, he put this on as well.
He's definitely a monk, that's for sure. Yeah.
Very good.
And then his favorite one was our brand new Lady of the Chat t-shirts, which are also available there on the store tab. So huge thank you to our favorite model there for doing that for us at huge expense.
How much did it cost?
Well, about 3,000 per episode, I think it was, wasn't it? Anyway, I hope you like that, everybody. So yes, we are getting some things. Look at this. Yeah. I wanted it was amazing, the negotiation. It was so easy because I just said, "Oh, we want you to do wear something for us." It was here like a shot. You got to keep them though. It was brilliant. Lots of. Let's look at this. Thank you ever very much.
I hear Keir Starmer's demanding a load of free ones as well.
Tear stained teas, says Neville. Oh, stay tuned. And haha, says Nibbles. What a mug! It's a lovely mug, actually. Yeah, we've got all those coming for you. So there you are, everybody. Due to popular demand. And Peter Harrington says, "Go Kirsty." Yes, one for Kirsty. There. It's one for any of our ladies of the chat. All of our ladies of the chat. You'll notice that they're only available in women's sizes as well. Not that my politics are getting in there at all.
Outrageous.
So anyway.
That's discrimination, that is. That's all I'm saying.
Oh dear. So anyway, that's all there for you as well. Listen, I hope you've enjoyed our show tonight here on Headlines. We've got a lot more to talk about. We're going to be back with more headlines very shortly, I am sure. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. We do love that when we get new members. Come and join us live on our shows with your chats and of course your views. Paul, Third Doctor Ian, thank you very much for joining me this evening as usual. Hope you've enjoyed the chats tonight.
Yes, I have very much. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a big show, hasn't it, everybody? We're exhausted. We now need a fresh cup of tea. So until then, until we see you next time, look after yourselves. We'll be back very shortly. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you soon. Bye, everybody. Good night.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.